Well, thank you very much, Alan. Yes, it is an absolute pleasure to be back here for day 3 of the British Swimming Championships 2022. It's been an amazing couple of days so far. We've seen some awesome racing, and we have crowned 13 new British champions. Some of those athletes making the consideration time as well for a lot of these major events that are coming up over the week, and I'm sure over the year, sorry, and I'm sure the rest of the week is set to be absolutely no different. If you're watching at home, we're going live on YouTube. Tonight's finals go live on Facebook and YouTube as well, so spread the word. And of course, don't forget to hashtag BSC2022 for any of those social media needs. So whether you're taking selfies in venue or you're watching at home, whatever, we would love to hear from you. I'm going to be going live tonight from the studio 15 minutes before we kick off racing. We've got Mr. Adam Peaty coming in, I do believe. We're going to play the Chopstick Challenge, have a bit of fun, and start analyzing some of the action that's been happening throughout the week. And joining me, of course, for all of the swimming racing commentary this week is Amy and Andy. We got Alan in venue as well, so it's over to those guys. They're going to take it over from here, and I shall see you guys later on tonight. Let's get into it.
Well, thank you, John. It's Amy and Andy.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, day 3. Really can't wait for this session. This is going to be a cracker. We've had 2 sessions so far. We've had fireworks already. I think certainly the highlight's got to be Adam Peaty's 100 meters breaststroke, where he went 58.58. I think it's the 2nd fastest time in the world this year, but totally unrested, totally unshaved. And that was pretty special to watch. And for me also to have the juniors in that warm-up, in that ready room, swimming in the same lane as him in the warm-ups, I mean, that just must be a fantastic opportunity, wasn't it?
Yeah, really good swimming from him, and as you say, it's a sort of a really nice environment for the juniors to be mixing in with some of the senior swimmers that we have here in Great Britain. And Adam's always really friendly, and if you bump in and say hello, I'm sure he'll say hello back. So it's nice that the juniors and the senior swimmers are able to mix, and that there's so many of them here this week at the British Swimming Championships.
Well, we've got some fascinating races for you this morning. We've got the 7 fastest heats in the women's 50 meters freestyle, where we're going to see Anna Hopkin going, the Olympic gold medalist for Great Britain on that mixed medley relay. What a great swim she's on that final leg against Caleb Dressel head-to-head. Then 6 heats of men's 400 medley, 7 heats of women's 200 fly. Of course, in that 400 medley, we've got Duncan Scott going in that, which would be an interesting one against the big Brits, Brodie Williams, etc. And then men's 100 meters freestyle, I think probably one of the most fascinating races here, because there's an awful lot of juniors, lots of youngsters in that. Jacob Whittle, and there's many other ones, really good ones, Amy.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunity for the swimmers in that event. There's obviously 4x1 freestyle relays to qualify as well, which they can take up to 8 swimmers at a major championships if they really wanted to, and swap the team completely from the morning to the evening. So there's plenty of opportunity across the 100 meters freestyle. With obviously the Commonwealth Games coming up in Birmingham, we've got the same for home nation, so plenty of swimmers looking to qualify for teams this summer.
Indeed we do, and then we've also got the women's 200 meters butterfly. Well, we've got more British Olympians in that. And then the heats 4, 5 and 6 of the 1500 meters freestyle. The final heat will be in the final session this evening. And during that, certainly in heat 4, we can have the National Performance Director, Chris Spice, in the commentary box. We'll be talking to him about all things Olympics and Britain's greatest performance ever. But straight in, the first race is heat 9 of the women's 50 freestyle. Heats 1 to 8 will be at lunchtime today. In this heat 9, fastest seed is Millie Scotchbrook in lane 4.
Yeah, really important in the 50 freestyle in particular to get a really good start and get up into the race.
So right at the bottom there, going really well, is Isabel Ocaro. Her sister, her twin sister, actually is in one of the later heats in heat 14. And Isabel Ocaro looks like she's going very well indeed. Does she get the touch? Yes, she does. 26.76. So that's a very big lifetime best for her. Half a second inside the time that she swam this season to set a lifetime best.
She had a lovely technique there. She got up from the underwater work into her stroke nice and quickly, held the rhythm for the whole way and powered right into the finish, which is exactly what we like to see in a 50 meters freestyle event.
And look at that, 1/100 split the first 2. Very close indeed. But straight in, with a lot of these juniors haven't swum for such a long time in the national championships. 2019, the last one since we've really seen them. So there's going to be an awful lot of surprises here. Surprises not only for us in the commentary box, but I think for them as well. Heat 10. Heat 10 of 15, women's 53, Lucy Grave of South Ayrshire, European junior finalist on the 100 fly last year.
Yeah, swimmer in the middle there. Lucy had a really nice start, and there's plenty of opportunity in this 50 freestyle, as now this one is a consideration event for the World and European Junior Championships.
So it looks like in lane number 3 at the moment, it's Sophie de Groot of Plymouth Leander. Very close indeed. Can she get her head down? Oh, right up there, lane 8 maybe got it. Lane 8 did get it. Louise Jones of Royal Wolverhampton. Well, her second half of her 50 metres really good.
Yeah, she wound up nicely there into the wall, and it's really important, as I keep saying, in the shorter distance events, to make sure that you're technically on point for the whole 50, because there isn't any time to have an error, really.
Well, we're quite quickly getting into the fastest heats. The last 3 heats, the last 30 swimmers, the fastest 30, will be split across those last 3 heats. So we've got 70 swimmers in this 50 metres freestyle. Josephine Klein of Mount Kelly, coached by Greg King-Lim, is in lane 4. Sky Carter of Basildon Phoenix, just 14 years of age, in 5. So heat 11 of 15, 2 more heats, and then the real fast ones, and a really good underwater up there in lane number 6.
Yeah, it's nice to see swimmers using that to their advantage. If you're really good at the underwater phase, you maximise the full 15 metres underwater if you can.
Well, really are all in a line, no one to choose. I'm not even going to be brave enough to guess on this one. Maybe in 5 at the moment, also going well in 8. There's Sky Carter in 5, and in 8 it's Drew Nellie McKenzie. And Josephine Klein in the end came back 26.88 for Mount Kelly. A very good last 5 metres for her. So the winner, Josephine Klein, 26.88 wins it. 26.89 was second.
Setting a new PB there of 0.1 of a second. So it's nice to see these swimmers already getting in the groove, and we're seeing some personal best times already in the first few heats.
Rattling through them, we really are. Here is heat 12, the last of the unseeded heats of the women's 50 metres freestyle. And in lane number 4, Lauren Cox was a silver medalist on the 100 metres backstroke last night. Swam really well, just missed the English consideration time. Let's see what she can do here. She's in lane 4, Lauren Cox of Loughborough University.
It's good to see swimmers doing multi-events, especially in the sprint. You can kind of cross over some of those, so we do often see some backstrokers that are also really good sprint freestylers.
Well, going well is Yasmin Perry, also of in lane number 2 from Aberdeen Performance. 0 at the bottom, so it's 3rd up in lane 2 is Yasmin Perry. But at the moment now, lane 5 looks like May Bradburn of Basildon Phoenix. The second half again, 26.59, really good. And it's fascinating to see a lot of the winners so far, Amy, seem to have done a decent first half of the 50, first 25, and then really gone at it the second 25.
It's really important in the sprint events to get a good start, but it's also not how you start the race, it's how you finish. And we're seeing some really close finishes, sort of 0.3 there, separating second to 4th. So it is really important to get your head down and try and get your hand on the wall first.
So the first of the seeded heats. This heat 13 of 15 in the women's 50 freestyle. Bella Hinley of Brompton. So I'm in the States for a while at university over there. I think she was at Harvard. She's in 4. 5 is Emma Russell. Also keep an eye out right at the bottom. Holly Widdows, the 15-year-old from Mount Kelly. She can do the European junior consideration time, which is 25.97. Very quick indeed. She's going well as well at the bottom. But look at Isabella Hinley.
Yeah, she had a phenomenal start there. Really quick off the block. Really accelerated that underwater phase. And she's just flying here.
Well, Bella Hinley looks good. Going with her now is Emma Russell. Russell in the green suit, but Bella Hinley, the black suit and black hat, 25.51. That is fast. Bella Hinley wins it, fastest so far. Emma Russell second. And Holly Widdows, I can say 26.77, so just outside of that consideration time for the European juniors.
Nice swimming from all those girls there. See, Emma didn't have the best start, but she came back really well there, and it was quite close in the end at the finish.
So 25.51 is the the standard set in the first of those seeded heats. Heat 13 of 15 in this women's 53. Heat 14, here we go. This is going to be fascinating. Lucy Hope, the Scottish record holder on the 100 metres freestyle, goes in lane number 4. And Eva Okaro, her twin sister, already swam earlier on in this event. She's in 5. So Erin Little of Mount Kelly in 3. In 4, it's Lucy Hope. And in 5, Eva Okaro. So the second last heat of the women's 50 metres freestyle, and a very good start indeed. It was in lane number 2, Katie Latham.
Yeah, really nice from her. You see some of the girls now in these late heats really increasing the stroke rate. So Lucy Hope in the middle there. Don't think she's breathed yet, and her turnover's really, really fast.
Very close indeed. Now the last 5. Head down, make sure that you really spot the wall. It looks like maybe Eva Okaro in 5. Very close indeed. It was Eva Okaro by 4/100ths of a second from Lucy Hope. 25.83, 25.87 was second. Third was 25.93. And that's very, very close. And I can tell you that Erin Little in 4th at 25.95 was just beaten the consideration time for the European Junior Championships. Great swim from her. Erin Little in 4th.
Yeah, as is Eva Okaro, so hopefully the two of them may be on the plane this year to the European Juniors. So fingers crossed that the time is enough for the selectors, really.
Good spot, Amy. She's actually a year young, isn't she? Look at that. That's amazing. Just back from a snapped Achilles as well, Eva Okaro. What an amazing swim that was.
Really good swimming from both of those girls.
And good for British swimming. Right, here we go. In 4, the black suit, Olympic champion. Ooh, a little bit of noise. We started just standing them down. So in 4, it's Anna Hopkin. Anchored that mixed medley relay at the Olympics to a world record. Kathleen Dawson led off. Then we had Adam Peaty. Then it was James Guy. Must have been fantastic to watch that at the Olympics.
Yeah, the atmosphere was incredible in the stadium in Tokyo. One of those nail-biting swims.
Well, lane 8 is scratched, so there's nobody in lane 8, but this is the final heat of the women's 50 metres freestyle. And Anna Hopkin right in the centre, that black cat, a superstar.
Yeah, unusually she swims straight arm freestyle like some of the best swimmers in the world, but you have to be really strong to be able to do that, and she just nails that technique perfectly.
Wow, she looks really good as well. Look at that, the flow of her stroke here. Quite a low head position, spotted the wall about 5 metres out, 24.95. Well, that is very, very good indeed. That's a super swim from her. 24.95, but it's still outside of the World Championships consideration time for the British team, which is 24.3.
Yeah, really good effort from her. Anna's first swim of the week, so she's kind of been probably watching day 1 and day 2 and day 3. It's her time to go, so sometimes that can be a little bit difficult when everyone else is starting to swim and you're just waiting to get going. So really good effort from her this morning.
Well, that was a classy swim from Anna Hopkin. I'll never forget. There she is, fastest qualified by like over half a second from Isabella Hinley. And there's some great youngsters in there. Eva Okaro's made the big final. Look at that. That's amazing. Emma Russell's in there too. Top 16 go in the A and the B finals. And then you've got the Priority Paris final for swimmers born 2001 and older. And then you've got the junior final. So there'll be 32 swimmers coming back this evening to swim in those finals.
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity for the girls to step up this morning. You want to be in one of those finals tonight. If you're a junior swimmer, you target the junior finals. But if you're lucky and you're quick enough, then you obviously get to swim in one of the finals that is slightly sort of higher ranked. So they fill up from the A, then the B, then the Priority Paris final, and then the junior final. So regardless of age, you're in the quickest final ranked on time.
Well, here's the guys for the next event, the men's 400 medley. Just before they come out, though, I mean, just tell me about, were you actually in the arena when that mixed medley relay went down, when the Brits won the gold and the world record?
Yeah, definitely. I swam on day 1. My final was day 2, and then I spent 6 days, 7 days in the stands cheering. So it's sometimes just as exciting to swim as it is to watch when Great Britain are pulling out such phenomenal performances.
Well, I have to say, that final leg, well, the whole race, in fact, just the whole thing was just extraordinary. Possibly my favourite race over my 33 years of commentating. So this heat 7 of the men's 400 medley. Heats 1 to 6 will be swum at lunchtime, and we will go heats 7 to 12 now. So there's 6 heats of men's 400 medley now and 7 heats at lunchtime. British Swimming decided to get as many seniors and juniors at this championships as they could, give as many swimmers the opportunity to come to the national championships and to have a go, to perform, to get their race prep and the race plan together, and then really have a go at executing it, because it's been such a long time since we've had all the juniors as well as the seniors. We had, of course, just the seniors at the Olympic trials, and it must have felt a little bit sort of thin on the ground and a little bit lonely at the Olympic trials, was it? Or was it just a job to do and get on with it?
It was a little bit eerie, but British Swimming last year placed a couple of competitions before that where there was no spectators, there was limited entry, so you were kind of used to that environment a little bit. So coming into the Olympic trials, we knew there was going to be no crowd. You weren't allowed to kind of hang around and support your teammates. So it was a case of getting there, swimming, and just getting the job done, and using the clock and the people who were in the pool to race rather than relying on a big crowd and a really big atmosphere.
Well, there were relatively few swimmers there, just the elite who'd been allowed to train during COVID. And here we've got 1,500 swimmers. Many of them swimming in the afternoon session. They've split it, so the fastest 70 for the shorter races and the fastest 60 for the longer races are in this morning session, with the idea that many of them will go through to the evening finals. And in the afternoons, they have the slightly slower heats, but again, to give as many swimmers the opportunity to swim and then to come and watch the finals and see the big guys in action and just watch how the greatest in the world do it. Do you miss it, Amy?
A little bit, especially when the 400 IM's on in the pool, men or women. I really enjoy this event. It's one of the toughest events, and yes, I was good at it, but the variety of training that you get from doing the event, the sort of variety of events you get to race at different competitions, it keeps it exciting and fresh. And if one stroke's not really firing that well, you've still got the opportunity to race something else and hopefully improve on that. So it's nice to kind of flip between them.
So there, the black hat of Joshua Press of City of Milton Keynes. The breaststroke, interesting breaststroke up in the middle there as well in lane number 5. That's Hubert Gadaniuk of Mount Kelly. Used to swim at Plymouth with Roberto Pavoni, who was a very good medley swimmer himself, wasn't he?
Yeah, phenomenal medley swimmer. I swam with him at the London 2012 Olympic Games. I swam at many European championships, so he was a really good 400 medley swimmer that we had, and he had 4 really good strokes, was sort of consistent, trained really hard, and always put together a really good race. So you knew if he was in the pool, he wasn't going to give up until the very, very last stroke.
I think he had an English record for a while as well. I might have made that up, but I think he did.
No, he was just such a nice person as well, and you tend to get some nice 400 medley swimmers, quite grounded. I'd like to think I'm hopefully one of them. They train hard and they put in the hours, so when you see a distance swimmer, a medley swimmer, 800 freestyle swimmer swim well, you know they've probably been the first one in the pool and the last one to get out.
Well, I'm certainly not going to disagree with you that some of them are very nice indeed. Can they all talk nicely as well?
I hope so.
Do they all talk for Britain? No, it's an absolute pleasure to have you in the commentary box, I have to say. It's been really fun. The first 2 days have been fantastic, and to have you commentating on these, well, all of it, but particularly on these medleys. Interesting freestyle stroke there from the leader at the moment, Josh Press of City of Milton Keynes.
Yeah, he's a little bit sort of limpy. He's lifting his head maybe slightly too high, but he's got a really nice rhythm from his leg kick, so he's using that to his advantage.
Well, the rest of the field just starting to attack now. And 50 metres to go in this, the first heat of this session. It's actually heat 7. Heats 1 to 6 will be this afternoon. So heat 7 of 12 of the men's 400 medley. And the leader, as he has done for most of this race, Josh Press of City of Milton Keynes. But 1 lane up from him is Matthew Rogers of Bromley. And he's had a good freestyle leg, a very good freestyle leg indeed. 10 metres to go in the first heat in this session of men's 400 medley. And Josh Press wins it, 4:37.27. Second, Joe Cooper. Third, Matthew Rogers. And Hubert Gadaniuk just tiring a little down that last 100 metres, finishing in 5th. Good swim, though. So Josh Press, his time, 4:37.27. His lifetime best was 4:42. So he's just done a 5-second lifetime best on a 400 medley. Very good swim. Unfortunately, a disqualification of Luke Poulton of Wickham District. So we've had a few disqualifications here, not that many, but we have had a few. I mean, we had an awful lot at the World Short Course in December. They were, well, almost like shooting fish in a barrel. It was extraordinary. They were having up 5 or 6 in every event. It was amazing. So heat 8 now of this men's 400 medley. And Lewis Maxwell, the fastest seed of Bath University in 4. So 100 fly, 100 backstroke, 100 breaststroke, and then 100 meters freestyle. And the fastest seed is Lewis Maxwell of Bath, and he started well in the center. He's got a good, flat, easy, almost lolloping butterfly you can see in the closer to us of those 2 middle lanes, those 2 yellow lanes in the center, breathing every 2s, allowing himself to stay as flat as possible and use as much energy as he can to go forwards rather than going up to get his breath. Up quick in lane number 2 off that turn, very quick indeed. Oliver O'Halloran of Derwent side. But he looks good, he's got a nice fly, nice and easy. Again, breathing 2s, good discipline, and he looks very nice, very comfortable, nice and long. So important to conserve energy as well as getting out so reasonably quickly on this fly if you can, but conserve the energy because now he's got 100 back, 100 breast, the killer. Really does sort them out in 100 freestyle. 59.47 his split. That was Oliver O'Halloran. Also going well right up the top there in lane number 8 is Evan Davidson. Lane 9 has withdrawn, so there's nobody in the very top lane. Lane 0 at the bottom. We use 10 lanes in the heats and then 8 lanes as is international law, really, for the finals. Shame we can't use 10 lanes, I have to say. I'd really like to see all 10 lanes used. I mean, if it's a national championships and we haven't had that many swimmers swimming for such a long time, to give more swimmers the opportunity to actually come in and swim in a final, I think would be a super idea. But I think it is international law that you only use 8 lanes for the finals, so it's probably the right thing to do. Very still head. Decent backstroke, quite a deep kick. Possibly just raise that kick a little bit. Ooh, a little bit of a tired turn as well from Oliver O'Halloran. Much quicker turn, much better turn in lane number 4 from Lewis Maxwell of Bath. But a good first 100, a very good first half, and he's a decent breaststroker as well. Oliver O'Halloran of Derwent side, a 21-year-old. And it's really hard to not stress enough, or if that's the right English, just how important this championship is. So Ollie O'Halloran is now, 21 years of age. It was probably 18 years of age since he last got an opportunity to swim in national championships. And the development, certainly for a man between 18 and 21, is just enormous. So he really doesn't know just how good he is. He's entered on a 440. And I wouldn't be too surprised if he's going to go fairly close to, low 430s here. He's just a really good-looking swim at the moment. Really nice stroke, really efficient, getting as much power out of every kick as he possibly can. Nice and easy, good glide, really efficient, good breaststroke. And with 100 meters to go, lane 2, as he's led from the start, Oliver O'Halloran of Derwent side, lane 2, with 100 meters to go. So 3:29.1 is the split there. If he can come back in about 64 or so, which is not impossible, he's going to go at about a 4:35, which is his entry time, 4:40. So very good swim for him.
Yeah, way clear of the field. Swimming really well here. Using this to his advantage. Sometimes when you're that far out ahead, you feel really good. So it's nice to use that adrenaline and just keep rolling.
So Oliver O'Halloran leading as he has for most of this heat 8 of 12 heats of the men's 400 medley. And there's a big scrap for second, third, fourth and fifth. Look at that, and sixth as well. Really, really tight, but way out in the lead. The Derwent side swimmer, coached by Paul Woodley. His lifetime best actually is 4:35, but he entered his season's best at 4:40.3. And look at this, a really good swim. Lifetime best was 4:35.3. He's just gone 4:32.8. Is that how you feel at the end of 400 medley? Look at that, Amy.
Pretty much. It's a tough one, and it's nice that not only was his season's best 4:41 that he's come in and he's done a massive improvement on that, and he's done a PB. So sometimes the hard work in training doesn't quite pay off when you want it to, and it takes a while for you to get back down to those best times. So it's nice to see him back down there, and it definitely looked like it really, really hurt, that one.
And what's the technical term for how tired he looks?
In pain.
Cream cracker, is that allowed?
Yeah.
So Ollie O'Halloran winning heat 8 of men's 400 medley, a new lifetime best for him, 4:32.88. A really great swim it was, very impressive. Heat 9 of 12 of this men's 400 medley. Harvey Freeman was the European junior finalist in the 200 metres breaststroke last year. Came 6th, was 12th in the 100, 6th on the 200 breast. And again, a breaststroke IEMA, such a common double, really, isn't it?
Really important to have a good breaststroke and have the ability to be able to just draw on that when it really matters in medley swimming.
So heat 9 of 12. Only the last 2 heats are seeded in the 400. So this and the next one are the unseeded heats, and then you get to the fastest 20 swimmers who are seeded across both of the last 2 heats. And Harvey Freeman in lane number 4 is the fastest seed, the breaststroke, but he's got a decent fly. Also going pretty well at the moment in lane 2 is Vadim Bosch of City of Liverpool. My old team, City of Liverpool. Used to train at Wesley Road. Don't think it even exists anymore, but fantastic team it was.
Yeah, for those guys, especially around that area, a home Commonwealth Games for them, it'd be nice to see some really local swimming. They'll be able to turn up, watch the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, and it kind of hits home when you get to see it. I think we had a lot of swimmers, or a lot of young swimmers, shall I say. I know Tom Dean is a classic example of that. Went to the 2012 Olympic Games, enjoyed being there. There's photos of him looking very, very young, which made me feel old when I realised I was in the pool competing. Yeah, you just kind of enjoy the atmosphere. You're inspired, and then you want to come to the next event, swim really well, and it's great that some of the athletes this summer will have the opportunity, and even some younger swimmers at home that might be too young to be here will get to go potentially to Birmingham and watch some world-class swimming.
Well, you should certainly get down there if you can. I think the tickets have gone on sale, and well, there's going to be some superb swimming. I mean, the Aussies are coming over, and it's always a pleasure to watch them and race against them because they are brilliant. So I think they had 4 individual gold medalists at the Olympic Games. I think, well, here's an interesting quiz for you then. Name the 4 individual Olympic gold medalists from Australia from the Olympic Games.
In 2018, we obviously had Emma McKeon.
No, in 2020, in Tokyo.
Sorry, in Tokyo.
Yeah,
I was
Tokyo,
thinking we
yeah,
were about
yeah.
2018 Commonwealth Games. So from Tokyo, we had Emma McKeon, Kaylee McKeon.
And then we had, there was the breaststroker as well, wasn't there? The guy breaststroker. Stubblety Cook. Didn't he win?
Matt? Stubblety Cook?
I don't know. Him, anyway.
Look what we've started now.
And there was another one. Who was the other one? Who was the other one? Let me think. Oh, I shouldn't. It was. Not sure if Chalmers. I don't think he won because that was the 100 freestyle, wasn't it? Where your big man from America won. Big stud. Fly free. Caleb Dressel. There you go.
I was thinking big studs. There's not many of them.
I just married him.
I am joking, by the way.
I tell you what, it's definitely a morning, isn't it? So there were 4 individual Australians. See if you can tweet it. What's your Twitter address?
Mine's Amy_Wilmot.
There you go. Send the 4th Olympian gold medalist of Team Australia. Emma McKeon won a hatful. These are individual winners, not relay winners. Emma McKeon, Kaylee McEwen, and Stubblety Cook, whatever his name is, on the breaststroke. And the other one, who's that? Anyway, Harvey Freeman looking good for Northampton in this heat 9 of 12 of the men's 400 medley. And the breaststroker, the European junior finalist, 6th in that European juniors, and he's really made a massive difference on that breaststroke leg. And well, it's pretty clear to see how important the breaststroke leg is on 400 medley.
Covered lots of ground there, almost took a few meters off the rest of the field. And it's super important, the breaststroke to freestyle turn, you can get quite a big advantage. Obviously a breaststroke is a lot of a slower pace swim, so if you're coming in on breaststroke but you're going off on freestyle and your competitors are still coming into the wall on breaststroke, you can take a big chunk out of the your competitors there, and he did that really well. Would have liked to have maybe seen him underwater a little bit longer on both of those freestyle turns, but sometimes when you're just busting a gut and you're trying to get to the end of a 400 medley, it's really tough to do that.
So the last 10 meters of this heat 9 of 12 heats of the men's 400 medley in a really good swim. It is winning Harvey Freeman of Northampton, his time 4:31.05, and his lifetime best was 4:36.1, a 6-second or 5-second lifetime best from him. And it's just great to see these guys coming in, having a race plan, and then executing it as cleanly and as clearly as that. And that is really impressive. Well done, sir.
Yeah, he's super happy with that. And another one of those swims where it hurts. No matter where you finish in that race, it's tough. So you give it everything and you just try and hang on. So Harvey Freeman there finishing first, as we said, in a time of 4:31.0. Jay Manners of Derwentide, second in 4:34.62. And third was Miles Turner.
So heat 10, straight into heat 10 of 12. This is the last of the unseeded heats. And Tom Robinson of Aberdeen Performance is the fastest seed in this heat 10. Right at the top in lane number 9, you've got Matthew Ward of Mount Kelly, broke the Scottish record on the 1600 backstroke. So Tom Robinson is the fastest seed. His lifetime best 4:35. Well, we've seen 4:31s already from both the last couple of heats. So these guys, I wonder what they're thinking when you see heats, 2 heats below you, and then 1 heat below you go 4 seconds faster than your lifetime best.
You try and not pay too much attention to really what's going on, but you can't not have a quick cheeky look at the scoreboard when the heat before you've just finished, and especially when somebody's so far ahead, you think they must be swimming well, must be having a really good race. So you're always kind of aware of what's going on around you, but especially in medley swimming, you can't get too excited. If you see a really quick time the heat before and you get in and blast down the butterfly and you're not necessarily a butterfly swimmer, you'll really pay for that at the end of the race. So you want to be aware of the times that are maybe coming up before you, especially if you're looking to gain spots in the finals tonight. But yeah, you just really got to stick with competing your own race plan, doing it well, and hopefully if you can get your process right, the time will follow and the result will be the one you want at the end of the swim.
Also a good start up there in lane number 7 is Nathan Wells of West Norfolk. So his backstroke, well, pretty clean backstroke, a little bit jerky. Maybe he could get his feet up a little bit as well, get a little bit more propulsion out of his feet. But this is a good start from him up in lane 7. Also going well in lane 2 is Jan Poulton of Wickham District. So Poulton over first, Wells second, Isaac Dodds closest to us in lane 0 from City of Leicester in third.
Yeah, Wickham in particular have had a really good meet here. Some of the swimmers over the first 2 days, especially the junior athletes, have dropped a couple of seconds here and there, and lots of them have done PBs. So it's nice to see a group of athletes as well swimming well. When you see your teammates do well, you know off the back of that we're probably in pretty good shape and we've had a really good block of training. So you have some confidence, and he's used this second 50 backstroke really nicely. Nice crossover turn there around the wall, and uses the breaststroke phase to come up nicely, and hopefully he's got a decent breaststroke in him.
So he's looking good the first half. Lane 2, Jan Poulton of Wickham District just touched the wall. I thought he was going to go over too early, but he did just touch the wall going round on that crossover turn, and that was nicely executed. But he's still going well, as is up in lane number 7, Nathan Wells of West Norfolk. Catching him though 1 lane in, closer to us Up there in lane number 6 is Joel Thompson of Shiverers down on the south coast, and also still going well is Isaac Dodds at the bottom. So this is starting to get tight down this breaststroke leg.
Yeah, some of these swimmers that might have been a tiny bit further behind at the end of the backstroke are really starting to come through. It's really important on the breaststroke not to over-rev. At the same time, you don't want to be too sort of slow and lose a lot of the rhythm and momentum you've gained from the start of the race. So we can see some of these breaststrokers. It's quite obvious when you see a breaststroker. They take a massive chunk out of the rest of the field, and I think it's lane 4 we have coming back really well here in that breaststroke split.
Well, 4 is charging, but he's got a long way to come back at the moment. So very even with 100 meters to go. Just in the lead is Jan Poulsen of Wickham District, but there's what, 5 or 6 swimmers charging with him now. And there's that race up in lane 6 and 7, and then there's 3 and 2 and 0 as well. This is going to be a great charge down this last 75 meters.
Yeah, Jackson from Northampton Swimming Club's having a really good freestyle split here. Looks like he's maybe saved a little bit of that legs. He's got a really high kick, and he's coming back at the rest of the swimmers.
So Jan Poulsen still just first to turn, but only by, what, 15/100ths of a second from Jackson O'Rourke. Jackson O'Rourke is in lane number 3 for Northampton, and he's having a good old crack here as the black hat's closest to us there. So it's the green hat of Jan Poulsen of Wickham District and the black hat of Jackson O'Rourke of Northampton, and Jackson's just taking over. Also a really good final 100 meters here is Joel Thompson of Shiverers up there in 6. Let's see who gets the touch. It's really close. Oh, my word. Well, just Jackson O'Rourke gets it, 4:32.55. And Jackson's entry time, 4:33.7. So another lifetime best, a good second and a half for him. Impressive stuff. So Jackson O'Rourke wins it. Jan Poulsen touched second. Third was Joel Thompson, and fourth was Nathan Wells.
Really good back end from him. We saw him, as soon as he came off the breaststroke, go to those legs, and he was able to hold that for the whole 100 meters. Sometimes you can get too excited coming off the breaststroke into the freestyle, over-rev it, and then the last 50 you really suffer.
Oh, sad news to tell you is that, unfortunately, Jan Poulsen got disqualified. We're not quite sure why. I did actually ask the officials yesterday whether we'd be allowed to know, but they want to tell the swimmers and the coaches first, and then once they know all about it and can have a chat about it, then they can tell everybody else, which I suppose is fair enough, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes sense. If you're going to potentially put in an appeal or you're not really happy with the result, then at least the athlete has found out before everybody else.
And this is interesting. This is the first of the 2 seeded heats, the last 2 heats. And Amy Wilmot sitting next to me, rubbing her hands. Really looking forward to this one, because we've got Duncan Scott in 4, Jacob Greenow in 5, Evan Jones in 6. Duncan Scott, what Olympics he had. 4 times medalist at the Olympics, a gold and 3 silvers, and he's a brilliant medley swimmer. And, well, he's a very good 200 flyer swimmer as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just such a good all-rounder. We know Duncan Scott as being a sort of a synonymous freestyler at world level. You think of him 4x1, relay splits, men's 4x2, 200 freestyle silver medalist, but he's actually a really, really good medley swimmer, and just 200 medley's amazing, but a lot of the time people discount him in the 400 medley. But for me, I think if he definitely raced it a bit more, which I keep telling him, you're definitely going to be a 4 medley swimmer if you really, really wanted to. Hopefully he'll swim well today, but yeah, he's just got 4 really nice, technically well executed strokes, and his butterfly just always looks so long and so easy.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? Because it's not easy to swim butterfly slowly.
No, definitely not. We covered this yesterday. Sometimes when you're trying to hold a little bit back in the butterfly, it becomes more difficult, a bit more sticky, and it just then makes the rest of the race, in particular 400 medley, really tough. So if you can nail that part, you give yourself a good chance to just really relax through the rest of the race.
Well, 57.8 for his 100 meters butterfly, and he looks so easy. I wonder whether he's going to push this 400 medley this morning, because he can qualify for the Scottish team for the Commonwealth Games. The qualification time there is 4:18.8, which is well within his lifetime best of 4:15. That's very much achievable. But the consideration time for the World Championships for the seniors is, well, let's quite a different thing. That's much faster, isn't it? I think that's around, what is that, 4:13. So it's 4:18 to qualify for the Commonwealth Games team. But if you want to make the World Championships 400 medley, you've got to go 4:13.
Yeah, it's not a slow time, and Duncan's probably capable of doing that. We saw him race for London Road ISL short course and swam 400 iron many times. He's done it at Bucks Championships. So he's not a kind of novice in the event, and he was a really good 2-4 medley junior swimmer. So it's good to see him in the pool today doing some events that he might not necessarily have chose to do before, but with him being pre-qualified for the World Championships, he's got the scope now to sort of dip his toe into a few other events, and that's why we're seeing him in this 400 individual medley.
And again, I think I've said this is fascinating about 10 times so far for Duncan. I mean, he is a brilliant swimmer, of course, winning gold in that men's 4x200 metres freestyle relay. And what a relay that was at the Olympic Games. That was brilliant. But then individual silver medal on the 200 medley, beaten by the Chinese man, who was utterly brilliant in that, and that was extraordinary. And then also silver on the individual 200 freestyle to Tom Dean, and then was on the British medley relay, swam the freestyle leg of that. But here, we saw him swim the 50 breaststroke.
Yeah, he's been working on his breaststroke a lot in training. We keep saying in medley swimming that breaststrokes are really important split. So for his 200 in particular, he needs to have that speed, and his stroke looks a lot different in the 200 medley breaststroke as it does to the 400 medley breaststroke just there. But he's just so well at executing those different strategies, different techniques, depending on what race requires which one. And he looks really nice and long, and we expect to see him pull away now on the freestyle because that is his dominant stroke, and he is such a world-class swimmer in that stroke.
So no doubt about the leader, and we wondered whether he might push it, and he looks like he's going pretty well. Really does look good. So 50 metres to go in this, the second last heat of the 400 medley. Duncan Scott over first. Second is Jacob Greenow of Bath University. Third is Evan Jones on the British swimming world-class performance program, son of Tim Jones, Olympian. He was a medal winner at the European Junior Championships in that green hat just up there in lane number 6. But this is a wonderful swim, isn't it? Doesn't it just look beautiful?
It looks easy, and a 400 medley shouldn't look that easy. But yeah, really long into the wall there. Nice and control from him. Time of 4:17.51 is under that Commonwealth Games consideration time. So if he did want to do it again, he now has the option to do that. I think we've got Evan Jones there in third as well, as just snuck under the European Junior consideration time. So that time was 4:27.83. And he's finished there in a time of 4:26.18. So a really good swim from him this morning. And all three of these boys at the beginning had a tough race, and they've come through and all kind of done really good swims.
Well, that's very good from Evan Jones. I've got to say, his dad sitting actually right behind us, just giving me the thumbs up. So Duncan Scott looked so easy. It's actually only 2 seconds outside of his lifetime best. Scott wins it. Greenow second, and third, the youngster Evan Jones of Millfield School. So the final heat of the men's 400 IM sees Brodie Williams as the fastest seed. No Max Litchfield. We'll come to that in a second. Max Litchfield, utterly brilliant in the 400 medley, swam for Great Britain at the Olympic Games, came fourth again. So close to the medal, so close to second actually, wasn't he? Amazing swim that was. But pre-selected, so it doesn't need to be here. The final heat of the men's 400 medley, Brodie Williams goes in lane number 4. The British Olympian is the fastest seed. In 5, we've got Mark Sharanick of Stirling University. He'll be looking to try and emulate Duncan Scott and make that Commonwealth Games qualification standard for Team Scotland. And Angus Allison in 6 from Stirling.
Yeah, a few of the Stirling guys in the centre of the pool here go head-to-head in training, so it's nice to see some of them get to race head-to-head as well. And I know how competitive a lot of these boys are, so they won't want to let the other kind of pip them to the wall.
So comfortable fly, important to swim it long and easy. But again, it's so easy actually to get it wrong, and then you lose your timing on the fly. But he looks like he's pushing it pretty well here, Brodie Williams. This is an interesting start from him.
Yeah, he is a really good fly swimmer, and his backstroke is one of his main events. So he's a semi-finalist at the Olympic Games in the 200 metres backstroke. So no doubt he tries to use the sort of early part of the race to his advantage, as that's where his strengths lie. Spit my words out.
I knew exactly what you meant. He's got to look at that beautiful backstroke. I mean, if you're going to be watching how to swim backstroke, certainly on the upper end, his kick is an interesting one. It's a little bit, how do you say, not quite as streamlined as it could be. I mean, he's certainly getting lots of power out of it, though, but beautiful upper half.
Yeah, for me, when I used to swim backstroke, I'd almost focus on an arm-led backstroke. Breaststroke's so physically demanding of the legs, so you want to use your arms, upper body, flying back, work the underwater still, just like Brody's shown there, and save the legs a little bit more for the breaststroke and the freestyle where you really need them.
I suppose the challenge, though, if your best stroke is the backstroke, you really want to make sure you can get as much out of it as you can. And I was just looking at those legs very carefully. He is really powerful. He gets a lot of propulsion out of them, but a beautiful upper body, really still. That's the halfway mark in this final heat of the men's 400 medley. Brodie Williams over first for Bath National Centre. Mark Sheranek second at the moment, and he's got a good breaststroke in lane 5 in the other of those yellow lanes. And then closer to us is Charlie Hutchinson of Loughborough University.
Yeah, we'll probably see some of these guys now start to split a little bit. Brodie's got a nice breaststroke, but as we say, Mark's is really strong, so he'll use this to his advantage, and you can see him already trying to make up a little bit of ground on this first 50 of the breaststroke. Coming into the wall there, Brodie Williams is still just edging out in front. But both of these boys there sort of maximising that 10-metre distance underwater.
Sheranek's breaststroke's good, isn't it? That black hat and the black suit really stalking Brodie Williams. Swam out in Florida for a lot of his university swimming and swam really well. I think he was great mates actually with Caleb Dressel, and his brother I think is still over there coaching, but has come back and swimming at University of Stirling. I'm not quite sure if he's there or if he's back in Florida, but he's certainly looking in good shape here, and this is a very impressive swim. He's going to have to go sub 60 if he's going to do the qualification time. Going to have to go about 57 point. That might be a bit of an ask, but not impossible.
No, definitely not. He's also a strong freestyle swimmer, so we see him already going to the legs quite early, so let's hope he can maintain that for the full 100 metres. And Angus Allison at the top of Mark there is also hoping to qualify for Scotland this summer for the Commonwealth Games, so quite a tight race for these swimmers. And this evening they might want to come back, but if you can do the time this morning, you kind of know you're in a good place and you don't really have to worry about it coming into this evening's finals.
And it is a reset year. A lot of the swimmers after the Olympic Games took an awful lot of time out of the water, and rightly so. They deserved it. They had a 5-year cycle for the Olympic Games. Normally 4 is tough, but to have 5, you need to have a mental rest, you need to have a physical rest. And I think a lot of coaches just said, don't get in yet, stay out, go and have some fun, go on holiday, go and do what you really wanted to do. And the winner of the final heat of the men's 400 medley is Mark Sheranek, and a very good swim from him. Came back in the 62nd 100 metres freestyle, 4:21.9 his time. So the consideration time for Scotland a little bit underneath that 4:18. I think he can have a good crack at that in the final when he'll be in the next lane to Duncan Scott.
Yeah, I think tonight that race will be pretty interesting. I'm sure Duncan's got more in the locker. He looks really comfortable this morning, nice and controlled. Mark and Brodie, even Angus, hopefully will be after a little bit more. So hopefully Duncan can kind of pull them through to get some of those consideration times that they need.
So Sheranek wins the final heat, comfortable from Brodie Williams. Hutchison third, Allison fourth. Unfortunately, DQ in there. Joshua Vance getting disqualified. But so there's the qualifiers. Top 8 will go into the A final. Charlie Hutchison just making it in. That's good for him. But Scott goes in first, Sheranek second, Williams in fourth. The youngster Evan Jones fifth. He's done well to get in there. The qualifier for the European Junior Championships. That's impressive.
Yeah, really impressive, and it looks like tonight it'll be quite a close race, sort of splitting 4th to 10th there is just over 1 second, so over a 400 individual medley, that's not a lot of time, really.
And top 16, 9 through 16 will be in the B final, and then of course we've got the priority Paris final for for those born 2001 and younger, and then the junior final as well. So 32 swimmers, 32 of those guys, not necessarily the top 32, because after the A and B, then you go into the juniors, but plenty of opportunity to get back in there in the finals this evening.
Yeah, lots of chances for these swimmers to come back and swim well tonight. It's nice that they have that opportunity. Often at a major championships, there might be an A final, a B final, potentially a junior final. So adding in the priority Paris finals is a really nice way to maximise that. Some of these swimmers are a little bit too happy before they're about to do 200 metres butterfly, for my liking.
Do they know what they're about to do? I think it was because there's a camera in the ready room and there's a TV screen, and so when it's on them, they can see it.
Must be.
So this is heat 3 of 9 of the women's 200 metres butterfly, and heats 1 and 2 will be swum at lunchtime today, and then 3 to 9 here right now. And the fastest seed is Lacey Roberts of Plymouth Leander. She goes in lane number 4, but I would love to just tell you about lanes 1 and 6. In lane 1, or in lane 6, let's start with Ella Bloksich from City of Salford, the 16-year-old, and her sister is in lane 1, Amelia Bloksich, still 12 years of age, from a fantastic 800 metres freestyle the other day. So 2 sisters in the same heat of the women's 200 fly at the national championships. Amelia in 1 and Ella in 6.
Really nice for them. Mum and Dad probably in the stands, kind of just hoping that both the girls do really well. So I used to swim similar events to my sister when I was younger. Luckily, she was more of the 200 fly swimmer when we were this age, and I was more of the backstroke swimmer, so there wasn't direct head-to-head competition. But it can be tough when you have a sibling that's a little bit better than the other one, maybe older and a bit stronger. So it's nice to see both of these girls in the same heat and racing head-to-head.
Well, the coaches John Stout and Daniel Naylor are really doing a super job with them at City of Salford. But at the moment, the leader is in lane number 3. That's Kate Morris of Nova Centurion. And she's gone well down the first 100. Also going well in lane 0, closest to us, is Asia Ko of Daventio. And those two at the moment looking pretty good.
Yeah, lovely to see the swimmers holding nice long butterfly strokes. Tendency is as you get tired that you get short. Hopefully we can see some of these girls really try and lengthen it out on the last length, use the legs.
A little bit of a glide into that turn. It was a tired-looking turn. It's a hard one, that, the third turn on the 200 fly. But she's going well. She's really tough, isn't she? And look down at the bottom there, right at the very bottom. Ko of Daventio still going. I thought certainly towards the end of that third length, she was looking really tired, but coming back in 0, also in 3 and 4 now coming back, as well as Lacey Roberts. And up there in 9, Libby Freeman from Morpeth. There is Ko right at the bottom. And could she steal this one from lane 0? Wow, she's got a, 3 meters, 2 meters. Get your hands in. Well done, she's got it. 2:23.03 inside her qualification time at 2:24, so a good swim from her.
Yeah, she paced that really well. You could see as she came off the third 50 in the third turn, she really went to those legs and was using that second leg kick to be really powerful and help get her arms over, keep that rhythm, and that's what's really important in 200 metres butterfly.
So Ko wins it, 2:23.0. Roberts second, Freeman third, Shearing fourth, and the Bloksich sisters. Ella was 5th, and I think Amelia was, 8th. So this heat 4, and there's no swimmers in lanes 5 or 7. So lanes 5 and 7 late withdrawals. That's Joe Hobsley of Barnet and Sala Bernhardt, sorry. So let's have a look at this heat 4 of 9 of the women's 200 butterfly. And a good start up there in lane number 6. That's Ellie O'Keefe of the City of Cambridge.
Yeah, with no one either side of her there, she might be getting a little bit excited. It is sometimes hard if you're relying on each other or the other swimmers in the race to pace a little bit better. 200 fly is one of those swims that a lot of the time we just want to think about racing, necessarily going for a time. It's so difficult that if you get in and you just give it too much at the beginning that you can really suffer at the end. So hopefully she's just thinking, I'm going to swim my own race plan. It doesn't really matter that nobody's either side of me, and she can keep this pace up. And if she does, she'll be in for a really good time.
Well, she's really flowing at the moment. I mean, if she can hold on to this looks super. Ellie O'Keefe, City of Cambridge. My first ever swimming club, City of Cambridge. Jan Barker was my coach. Absolutely wonderful lady. What she did for swimming and her whole family, her husband Ray, absolutely wonderful they were. I started off on Sundays at 6:20 to 6:40. I did 20 minutes. And it was called Cambridge Granta at the time, actually, but my first swimming club, I did 20 minutes a week. It worked. It was a good way to start.
Well, I was just about to say a lot of swimmers nowadays are doing less at a younger age, so you're not seeing the likes of 10, 11-year-olds swimming 40, 50, 60K like I did when I was younger. It gives them the opportunity to hopefully be in the sport a bit longer, not be almost burnt out, fed up, or too tired, too young. So it's nice to see the sport slightly going that way. Obviously, we're still known for early mornings before and after school, but I did some of my morning training at 11 years old, and luckily I was tough enough to do mornings for 15, 16 years plus, but a lot of the time it can be quite difficult, and especially in girls, the dropout is so high when you're 15, 16. So yeah, it's good to see some of these girls doing a little bit less, but it's definitely not affecting some of the results, which is really good to see.
Well, she's hung on really well. She went out very quickly. She's paying for that early pace a little bit now, but this is still a really good swim, and if she can hang on, she's going to get the touch. Great discipline as well. Head down. Did she get the touch? She did. Well done, Ellie O'Keefe. That was hard work. That really was tough. No on either side of a really tough lane assignment. Come to the Nationals, and both sides, lanes 5 and 7 withdraw, and if you're in lane 6, well, you get clear water, but that's a little bit tough. And Amy, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's really impressive to hang on. She went out very fast, 65.3, I think she went out to 100. So she definitely paid for it down the second 100 metres of the race. So tonight, if she's back in a final, I would definitely think she'll look to maybe go out a little bit easier. And if she can give maybe 1 or 2 seconds at the beginning, she might get 4 or 5 seconds off the back 100 of her race. So ultimately, she'll swim a faster swim. So that's what we like to see. We like to see athletes maybe get in and just give it a go, and you can learn so much from that sometimes.
I'm sure her and her coach, James Freezer, will sit down afterwards and have a chat. First thing she must do, though, is go and swim down. How far would they swim down after a 200 flight?
I'd probably say at least 1,000. I think if you're getting in and getting out too early, you're probably not recovered enough.
1,000-metre swim down. So here we have heat 5 of 9 of the women's 200 flight. And Catherine Bailey of Perth City is the fastest seed. She's in lane 4. And in lane 3, just this side of the yellow lane lines, and that's orange hat, is Sky Carter, the junior. Already swam the 50 metres freestyle in this session and started off pretty comfortably, I'd say, Sky Carter in the orange hat, but going off really quickly. Again, up there in lane number 6 is Kira Noon of City of Bristol.
Yeah, lane 6. 9 and 1 there had a really, really nice opening 50. So a lot of these girls look like they're trying to move it on a little bit from the heat before. They might have seen some of those times and they're thinking, I need to be a little bit faster than that if I'm going to come back tonight in one of those finals. So we'll see the pace start to move on a little bit, and hopefully these girls can pace this slightly better than maybe the heats before and carry this really quick pace that they got down the first 100 into that second 100.
Well, a lot more even this first 100 from many of the ladies in this race. 65.5 was first, but then there's a 65.8 for Matilda Ransom, also of City of Cambridge. So she saw her teammate win the previous heat, and she's going well up there in lane 7 again with that light blue hat of City of Cambridge. But look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swimmers across the pool, all the way across the pool, from Amy Corcoran of Loughborough right at the top there, all the way down to lane 1. Of course, there is a lane 0, but lane 1 is Beatrice Varley of Plymouth Leander.
Yeah, Catherine Bailey in the centre of the pool, who's got a lovely stroke. She's so compact, doesn't look like she's wasting lots of energy. She spotted that wall really nicely and using that underwater work, which is what we like to see. So she looks really strong here. Looks like she's paced this really well.
So Bailey in 4 from Perth City. Looks very strong, actually. Lovely discipline as well. Head down, breathing every 2 strokes, keeping herself as flat as she possibly can, and 20 metres to go. And this, the 5th heat of 9 of the women's 200 fly. Still going well up there in lane 7, though, is Matilda Ransom of City of Cambridge. Cambridge swimmers swimming well and come back really well as Sky Carter. Well, that orange hat in lane 3, she had a really good second 100. And Catherine Bailey dips under 2:20, a good swim from her. Bailey of Perth City, 2:19.93, underneath the qualification time that she set of 2:21. Good from her. Bailey wins it. Second was Matilda Ransom of Cambridge, 2:20.6. And third, Beatrice Varley of Plymouth.
Yeah, nice to see some of these swimmers dipping under their entry time. Catherine was really close to her personal best as well, so if we see her back tonight, it'd be nice to see her tighten up some of those skills, use that momentum, use the adrenaline of being in a final and being in that environment, and we should see a couple of seconds here and there potentially from some of these younger swimmers again tonight. So Catherine finished first there in a 2:19.93, so yeah, really good from her.
Heat 6 of 9, the last of the unseeded heats in this women's 200 fly. And Kate Mills of Loughborough University is the fastest seed in 4. Next to her in 5 is Melody Jones of Borough of Stockton and Amelia Monaghan of City of Sheffield. They're having a great meet here. 2 Sheffield swimmers in 6 and in 2. So heat 6 of 9 of the women's 200 fly. 70 swimmers in the 200s, in the 50s, the 100s and the 200s swim in the heats in the morning. And then if there are more entries, of which there always are, they swim in an afternoon session of heats. And then the fastest 32 swimmers, the A final, the B final, the junior final and the Priority Paris final come back for the evening.
Yeah, so some of these swimmers know that they'll have to put in a good performance. There may be 1 or 2 swimmers that are in those heats, slower heats at 12:30 that swim really well. May have seen some of the times that have been posted this morning, especially with them probably being predominantly junior swimmers. So they'll be looking to come back and really sort of challenge some of the times that come in this morning. And if they can do that, then they'll advance straight through to tonight's final.
So up in lane number 7, it's Molly Chambers of Doncaster Darts. Swam a good first 100 metres, first to turn. And good, well, pretty quick up actually out of the turn, quite quick and up into that breath. I wonder if maybe if she could go a little bit further underwater and use the momentum.
Yeah, sometimes when you're really kind of scratching and you're using a lot of effort and a lot of energy, a lot of oxygen, that you're sometimes desperate to come up from the surface, get that breath. So that's where a lot of the best swimmers in the world almost hold their head down, so they won't breathe first stroke and they might breathe second stroke rather than get up and lose that momentum and carry that speed. So it's just some of these things that technically these athletes will learn as they get older, as they get bigger, as they get stronger. The race processes and really small technical things make a massive difference. As you're younger and you're growing, the PBs kind of take care of themselves, but as these girls start to maybe plateau off in time, then they'll really, really think about, right, what can I do now that can give me point here, point 2 there, and that's where you look for those improvements towards PBs.
Well, some great advice there from Great Britain's triple Olympian, double Olympic finalist in the 400 medley, and head down, really tough swim in 3. That was very impressive indeed, that last 5, and certainly the last 100 from Charlotte Johnson of Mid-Sussex in lane number 3, and she did get the touch to 19.08, a new lifetime best for her. And I tell you what, when she watches that video back, her and her coach should be very, very proud of themselves, because that was a super last 50, really was. And the discipline to stick your head down in the last 5-7 meters of a 200 fly is so tough, because your body's screaming at you.
Yeah, off the turns it's sometimes challenging enough, never mind the last 5 or 6 meters of a 200 meters butterfly. It is really tough, but those are the things that you can practice in training every time you're coming into the wall. Not breathing last 5, not breathing off the turns, not breathing off the start. And if you can do that day in, day out in training, then as soon as you get to competition and you step up and you race, those habits then become a default. So it's really good to see some of the junior swimmers really thinking about those things. And coaches sometimes get a hard time for nagging and giving you a bit of a tough time for doing those skills wrong, but at the end of the day, it's for your advantage and it's for the swimmer's benefit.
So just a little delay on the results. I think they're just checking for disqualifications. Hopefully there were none. And yes, we've had the results confirmed. That's great to see. Thank goodness for that. So Charlotte Johnson winning at heat 6 of the women's 200 fly, 2:19.08, a great lifetime best for her. Monaghan second, and Molly Chambers was third. So heat 7 into the last 30, the fastest 30 swimmers. And in lane number 4, Emily Large of the Bath National Centre, English Commonwealth Games team member in 2018, looking to get back on that team, I think.
Yeah, this summer it'd be nice to see her part of that England team again for Birmingham, but she's also European Junior and World Junior gold medalist in this event. So we saw at the beginning of the week in the women's 200 freestyle, but now we see her in her main event.
So the first of the seeded heats, Emily Large, the fastest seed in lane number 4. She was actually a World Junior champion in the 200 fly back in 2017, and European Junior champion as well. A fantastic junior, and is stepping up to the senior well. It'd be great to see her do a good swim here. Emily Large in 4, Sophie Freeman in 5, Youth Olympic medalist in 2019 on the 200 fly. So we've got some great pedigree in this race in lanes 4 and 5.
Most definitely. Emily's one of those swimmers as well that also started at the Leeds Swimming Club. So when she was younger, she was part of that City of Leeds programme. She's moved to Bath and now trains under the guidance of Dave McNulty. So she's part of a really nice training programme there. Trains alongside James Guy, Tom Dean, Freya Anderson. So it kind of does you well to be part of a really good training programme, but knowing you've also come from such a strong background, and you need to know you've done the endurance when you were younger to be able to successfully swim 200 metres butterfly year in, year out and be as successful as Emily is. So yeah, she's just got such a lovely technique that she's just uses that strength and that endurance that she's gained as a youngster, and she just has such a lovely rhythm to her stroke.
It looks like she gets a little bit more forward propulsion when her head is down than when on her breathing stroke. So she breathes, what, 3 there, and then she puts her head down for 1, and then it's 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths, or down for 1. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. So it's almost 3 and 1. Interesting pattern that. I don't see that very often.
I used to try and breathe 2-1. If I had my head down for too long, when I did breathe, I was almost gasping for oxygen. So I found that rhythm worked for me. But the better fly swimmers are able to hold their head down a little bit longer, especially at the back end of the race when you're tiring. If you can hold your head down, you hold better sort of streamlined position, hold that momentum. So these athletes will work on that in training when they're getting tired to be able to hold that in a race.
Well, it really is a fascinating pattern. And she's put her head down, there, 2 it was, head down inside the last 5. Yes, good discipline, well done. 2:13.48 wins the first of the seeded heats. And Emily Large looked good there. She's going to have to go quite a bit faster than that in the final, but it's a good swim to get it out of the way and do the job and get through to the finals, and she'll certainly make the A final with that. That was a good swim, 2:13.4. Second was Sophie Freeman with a 2:15.9, and Shannon Stott of Hatfield third.
Yeah, not the quickest time from Emily. She might have, well, she probably would have hoped to get slightly closer to those consideration times for the World Championships, but when you're doing it on your own and it is a 200 butterfly, sometimes it is a little bit more difficult.
Second last heat, women's 200 fly, and Kiana McInnes, the fastest seed from Stirling in lane number 4. Scottish record holder on the 100 fly, this the 200. I think actually the Scottish record in this 200 fly is held by Hannah Miley, one of an absolute hatful of Scottish records that she holds.
Yeah, Hannah was such a versatile swimmer, and she obviously maximised her butterfly swimming to help with her 400 medley, so she ended up being really quick at both of those. And I think it's important that you can diversify, and even as she got older, she was still doing lots of events and doing them really well. So Kiana here will probably be looking to take down that record at some point.
Also fascinating to see the pink suit in lane number 5 in the top of those 2 yellow lanes, the upper of those 2. Holly Hibbett, I haven't to say, I've never seen her swim 200 fly, but she's been a brilliant distance freestyler, world championship finalist on the 400 and the 800 freestyle, but never seen her do fly. It's not bad either, is it?
She's really powerful and she's really strong, and she has swam 200 butterfly pretty well at European level, I believe, before. She was part of London Raw at the ISL and swam a lot of 200 butterflies there. So because of her endurance and capacity that she's gained from being a distance freestyle swimmer, she's really good at this 200 butterfly, and she kind of just keeps going. But Kiana here looks really smooth. She's got such a strong back end to the race as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Kiana get a little bit faster and start to breathe a little bit less. She's one of those swimmers that can actually almost hold her head down for 3 strokes and then just breathe 1, so she uses that to her advantage, and that's kind of where she'll split from the rest of the field, because she's so good at just really digging in that last 50 metres.
Well, she's breathing 2s down that third 50 metres, nice and quick around the wall as well. Well, if you do get an opportunity to replay that last turn, just watch how quickly she gets her knees up, a real tight tuck, and span around really fast. Super turn that was, with 50 metres to go.
Yeah, really good skills. Even when you are tired, you want to be making sure that you're nailing those skills. They're really important, especially at world level. You can't afford to be sloppy just because you're getting a little bit tired.
So Kiana McInnes, she was 4th on the 50 metres butterfly, but certainly better on the 100 and the 200. And this is a good swim from her. 2:11, is it? Yes, 2:11.17 wins it. Holly Hibbett came back well, very well indeed, with a 2:12.
Yeah, both really nice swims, and Kiana looks happy with that, as she should be. She set both of her personal best times last year, so her 2:08.86 came from the Olympic trials last year, which put her on the European team. So she's had a little bit more experience at senior level, and you can tell this morning she's come into this race and she doesn't want to post a 2:15, 2:16 like she might have done in the past, and that's a really good start from her. So she'll have a lot of confidence from that coming into tonight.
Very solid swim. That was impressive. Kiana McInnes of University of Stirling winning heat 8, the second last heat on the 2:11.1. Holly Hibbett second, and Yvonne Brown of Aberdeen Performance. And she coached by Hannah Miley's dad, Patrick Miley. And what a great coach he's been over many, many years for Hannah. She was third. The final heat of the women's 200 fly. Laura Stevens, the British Olympian from Tokyo, goes in lane number 4, and her lifetime best is a season's best, is 2:07.04.
Yeah, really quick. Some of those times in the world, anything under 2:10 is a pretty decent 200 metres butterfly, but as soon as you get close to 2:05, 2:06, 2:07, there are only a handful of girls really, and especially in Great Britain, that have done those times. So Ellie Gandhi, I believe, holds the British record still in a time of 2:04.83. So that is quite quick, and if Laura wants to kind of be up there with the rest of the world, that's the times that she needs to be really kind of looking to get close to.
The final heat of the women's 200 metres butterfly, and we've got Laura Stevens, the British Olympian, in lane number 4, and her lifetime best is 2:07.04. And the time she's got to do to be considered for the World Championships team, 2:07.9. So her lifetime best, pretty much a second underneath that world consideration time, but it's a very quick one. Don't expect her to go that quickly in the heats.
I don't think so. I think 2:07.9 is a quick 200 metres butterfly. I've done it once or twice, and I went from sort of 2:10 all the way down to 2:07. I couldn't quite work out really how I'd done it. So some of these butterfly swimmers that work on this event will know that 2:07 isn't an easy ask first thing. It's not an easy ask even in a final, but hopefully Laura and Emily tonight can really push each other to get the best out of themselves.
Interesting you say that you didn't really know how you did. I mean, a lot of swimmers talk about the process and getting the process right, and the time will just come out of it. Was that your approach when you didn't know how on earth you did the time you did?
Yeah, I think part of it was that. Part of it was that I was so kind of annoyed that I hadn't been swimming well in my main event, and was just fed up and thought, I'm just going to get in and just give this a go and see what happens. So it was a little bit of both really that resulted in the time of a 2:07.
Well, I suppose it's probably the right way to go, really. You're not worrying at all about what time you're going to go. And an awful lot of swimmers worldwide, most of the best swimmers, just don't worry about times at all. They just get their race plan, their race process together, and then make sure they execute it within a millimetre, and if they can do that, then they've got a cracking chance of delivering a really good time. She looks good here, Laura Stevens. I'm very impressed with her. I thought her Olympic trials was a wonderful swim to make that team. It's a really tough qualification standard. She did it really well.
Yeah, it's really sort of difficult if you're just the wrong side of that time, but Laura looks really good here. She breathes every one, which we haven't seen from the other swimmers, and she's going to get close to 2:07.91 tonight. She doesn't want to be going too slow this morning.
Well, she really went for it, 2:09.7. She worked hard there, and it looked like it was hurting down that last 25. But I think that'll be a really good swim for her. Yes, good smile as well. Well done. That looked pretty hard, but I think if you get your main event and you can really work it and get rid of the cobwebs, then she can come. Well, she's going to go back and, as you said, do 1,000 meters at least of swim down. And then what will she do this afternoon to make sure that she's ready tonight?
Probably go back, make sure she's had a decent meal for lunch, maybe have a little nap or a rest, lay down, chill out. So you just want to get away from the pool and just really sort of de-stress, maybe not think about swimming too much, and then come back tonight.
Well, she's got to go 1.8 seconds faster than that heat time. She's going to do the qualification consideration time for the British team for the World Championships, which is a 2:07.91. So there's a summary. The fastest 8 will go into the A final. Stevens in there, McInnes, Hibbett, and Emily Large. There's some great swimmers in there as well. Kira Schlossen's made it in. Betsy Wizard will be fastest seed into the B final. And Megan Allison in 16th will just make it into that. And then from then on, they'll fill up the priority Paris final if they're of an age born 2001 and younger. The next 8 swimmers of that age will go into the priority Paris final. And then there's the junior final for women born 2005 and younger. Great to see so many swimmers making it through to the evening finals. Great Britain has put on 4 finals especially for that occasion to try and get as many swimmers through, not only seniors but juniors too.
Yeah, definitely. There's plenty of space and plenty of spaces up for grabs for these swimmers to come back and have a second swim tonight. So Ashley Bailey in that last heat there is a junior swimmer who's made the A final, so she's got a great opportunity tonight to try and get that European junior time.
And third from the left, just behind this guy standing up, you can see there's Tom Dean, our Olympic champion with, oh, well, he's looked very laid back, doesn't he? Very laid back indeed. Olympic champion, 200 meters freestyle. And I was hoping to see a good head-to-head in this 100 meters freestyle here with Olympic gold and silver Duncan Scott, but Duncan's decided not to do it. So Duncan won't be doing the double, the 400 medley, 100 freestyle double in this session. He swam the 400 medley this morning, looked very comfortable. I wonder if he's going to have a crack at Dan Wallace's Scottish record on that 400 medley tonight.
Yeah, he could probably do it. As I said this morning, he looked so nice and controlled. His race was really well paced. So he's at this event picking some of those events he doesn't normally do. As we said, we saw him yesterday in the 50 breaststroke, today in the 4 IM. So he's having a break from the 100 freestyle. Pre-qualified for the World Championships this summer. So he's just kind of taking some time to do some other events and work on things that he might not necessarily have had the chance to if this was his target for the year.
Well, certainly he is doing with a 50 breaststroke at this session as well, on this meet. Just tying up a little bit up there in lane number 6, it is Rafael Fences-Damas of Elmbridge Phoenix. But I think he didn't quite get the touch. Jacob Arman of Mount Kelly got it 52.46. A good swim from him. Mount Kelly swimmer.
Little PB for him there this morning, so hence the smile.
So just inside his lifetime best. It was 52.52, and he's gone 52.46. New lifetime best on the 100 meters freestyle. Well done, sir. So that's heat 8 of 14. This now heat 9. Rory Dixon of University of Stirling, fastest seed in 4.
Yeah, his entry time 52.27, so he'll be looking to improve on that after seeing heat 1.
Well, there's 6 competitions that you can qualify for, 6 international competitions from this meet. Of course, there's the Commonwealth Games coming up, the Europeans, the World Championships for seniors, and then there's the European Juniors, the World Juniors, if it happens, and the European Youth Olympics. So all of those swimmers can qualify.
Yeah, plenty of opportunity, as we keep saying, for the athletes who might have missed out the last couple of years to come here at the British Champs, improve on their times, maybe drop 4, 5, 6 seconds like we've seen quite frequently in some of the longer events, and put their name now in contention to qualify for one of those 6 competitions.
So this is heat 9 of 14, and up there in lane number 7, looking very good indeed, is Alexander Painter of Millfield School. He's a junior. He's got to go 50.30 if he's going to qualify for the European Junior Championships. And this is a good swim. Well, 50.61. My goodness me, Alexander Painter of Millfield School. There's some yelps and some cheers up there in the stands, and look at his face. That is a really good swim. His lifetime best was 51.7, and he's just gone 50.7.
Yeah, second PB this morning. Looks happy enough, and coached by Ewan Dale at Millfield School. So another one of those Millfield swimmers swimming really well here this week.
I think I've just given him 50.7. He went 50.61. Even better. Well done. Great swim. And he's only just, what, 0.4 of a second, 0.3 of a second off qualifying for the European Juniors. He'll have another crack at that tonight. 6 juniors in that final. This heat 10 of 14. So 2 more heats, and then the fastest 30 guys coming in. Charlie Hopkins of Swansea University in lane number 4 is the fastest seed.
Yeah, lane 4 there got off to a nice start, as did lane 3, so just outside those yellow lanes. And in the 100 metres freestyle, you can't really take too long to get up and get into that stroke. If you get left behind in 100 metres freestyle, that's it really, especially in the men's events, because there's not really anything you can do to get back. Once you get behind that wave, it's really difficult to kind of get over the top of it. So especially in male freestyle swimming, you want to be in a line, if not just in front of some of the best swimmers.
Well, a really, really good start up the top there from Reed Jones. It was in 8, but now in 9. Miles Drabwell of Bath University. Bath University teammates in 8 and 9, and finishing really well is Miles Drabwell. Well, his lifetime best 52.1, and he's just gone 51.4. Wow. Well, they're really throwing in some super times in early heats here. This is great to see. 51.44 off a lifetime best of 52.1, and the smile says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, we said earlier there was plenty of opportunity for the freestyle boys here to qualify for an event this summer. You can take up to 8 swimmers in a relay, so there's plenty of opportunity for these boys to be part of one of those teams, whether it's European Juniors or the Commonwealth Games this summer, and even the World Championships. So there's plenty to fight for, and they don't really know what's coming as well in the middle heats. There could be somebody in that session who swims really quick, so they've got to post fast times this morning if they want to be back tonight.
They certainly do, because this is hotting up very quickly, men's 100 metres freestyle. This is heat 11. 14 heats in total. This is the last of the unseeded heats at the men's 100 metres freestyle, and Henry Baker in 5 of University of Stirling. Thomas Carswell is the fastest seed in 4, but it looks like it is 5 Henry Baker down the first 25.
Yeah, really nice start from some of these boys. Also William Casely in lane 3 starting to pull away, so he looks really good here. Sorry, in lane 2.
And Jacob Jackson right at the top there. That's lane 9 is a pretty good one. Super turn though. Lane number 2, his legs went over so quick, really hit the wall hard and came off from William Kersley. A great turn there.
Yeah, fantastic. He used that momentum into the wall, got round nice and tight, as you say, came off the wall, and he's driving down this second 50 really well.
Well, again, another lifetime best in the 51s, and I think he's going to go 50 point if he can bring this home. It's looking good at the moment in lane number 2, going straight arms, 50.45. Wow, 51.61 was his best. He's just gone 50.4. That's a super swim. Well, yes, well done. I'll give you a high five for that, mate. That was an absolute cracker. Well done, sir.
Yeah, some of the slightly older swimmers here that haven't really had the opportunity either to swim well through the last couple of years. With them being just off the boil and not a really quick junior swimmer, they kind of got left a little bit in no man's land, as there wasn't really anywhere for them to train. So it's nice to see some swimmers that are kind of that in-between age as well coming through and still swimming PBs, because they've been given that opportunity here.
Well, the big boys now in. Not that the last lot weren't, because they've thrown in some cracking swims. 50.4 for an unseeded heat at the British Championships is really good. But now the top 30 come, and they're mixed all the way through these last 3 heats. Matt Richards in 4 Olympic champion 4x2 free relay. So the fastest seed in this, the third last heat, heats 12 of 14, is Matt Richards of Bath National Centre, coached by Dave McNulty. And he started well, but the best start probably coming from Dan Jones in lane 3 of Swansea.
Yeah, the other side of Matt as well is Ed Mildred, so we normally see him in butterfly events, but as I say, he's probably thinking, is there a space for me to squeeze into one of those relays this summer? And all three boys here coming down looking really good at the first 50.
Well, Jones will lead going into this last 25 metres, and this is a really good swim from Dan Jones with a white hat of Swansea University. But Matt Richards, a really great 200 metres freestyler, starting to have a go now, starting to go through in that black hat in lane number 4, and I think he's going to get the touch. His PB is 48.23. He's gone 49.2, and that's a good swim. It's a really good, solid heat swim. He's done the job, one job only, get through to the final, and he's just swum very well indeed. A member of that winning gold medal winning 4x2 free relay at the Olympic Games. Ed Mildred, European silver medalist himself at the juniors.
Yeah, nice swimming from all those boys there in the top 3. Matt and Dan are Welsh, so they were just outside that nomination time for the 100 metres freestyle. That time was 49.01, so I'm sure both of those boys will be back tonight, and they've only got to take sort of 0.2 here and there, and they just dip under that time.
So 13 of 14, and Jacob Whittle going in lane number 4. Absolute superstar, but this is fascinating. There's no lane 0, so unfortunately Ben Proud has decided not to swim this. He'll be concentrating on his 50 metres freestyle, but Jacob Whittle in lane number 4. He's 17 years of age. At age 16 at the Olympics, 16, he went 48.1. 48.1 as a 16-year-old. Doesn't he look good? But at the moment, Lewis Burris gone out like a shot.
Yeah, Lewis has had an unbelievable start. He's definitely not messing around this morning. He wants to be back in one of those centre lanes tonight, and these boys are going to have to kind of get a move on if they want to kind of keep up here.
Well, can we just keep an eye out? Just a little eye on the British record here at 47.87. That is Duncan Scott's. He was meant to be in the next heat, but has withdrawn. And Whittle having a right good go at him, coming back in the red hat. It looks like maybe Burris is going to get the touch. He does, but that was quick. 48.15 for Lewis Burris and 48.36. Goodness me, that was a storming heat. My word, that was awesome sprint freestyling. What an attack by Lewis Burris at the 50. He was so quick.
Yeah, he had a really good PB, split 22.70 down that first 50. So tonight, if he goes out that fast, he's only got a smidge to pull back. But Lewis finishing there in time of 48.15. Jacob just behind him, 48.3. And then we had Jack McMillan, a guest from Bangor, with 49.42. So good swims from those boys this morning.
Well, really good. Huge lifetime best for Lewis Burris. Huge. I'd say it was 0.3 of a second, but that's massive. No Duncan Scott in this, the final heat of the men's 100 metres freestyle. He is the British record holder. He will be concentrating on that 400 medley, but who we do have is the Olympic champion on the 200 metres freestyle and the 4x2 free relay, double Olympian Tom Dean. He goes in lane 5. So he'll be in the yellow lanes. Normally there's 2 swimmers in the yellow lanes in the centre, but this time there's just one, and it will be Tom Dean. Litchfield will be the other side of the empty lane in 3. Joe Litchfield. The final heat of the men's 100 metres freestyle, heat 14, and Tom Dean in 5, and he's just seen 2 guys go low 48s. I wonder what he's going to try and do here after that.
Probably see if he can sneak just inside of that. As one of the world's best swimmers, you're not going to want somebody who's not relatively unknown, but come out of nowhere and sort of steal your crown as it is. So Tom looks like he's putting in a really good race here this morning, and he's not competed a lot this year. We heard him yesterday speaking to John in the studio, just kind of explaining how he's had a little bit of a down year. It's after the Olympic Games. He was feeling a little bit flat, and he's had some time with his family, so it's nice to see him back in the pool, and he looks in really good form regardless. Well,
he's going really well here as well. Going with him is Cam Curl in 6, but it's Tom Dean, double Olympic champion, in lane number 5, and this is an impressive swim from him. The time 48.57. So we've got 3 guys on 48.5 or lower. That is really, really good in the heats here of the men's 100 metres freestyle. Very, very impressive indeed. Dean wins it in 48.57. Litchfield, Joe Litchfield second, 49.3. Cam Curl also 49.3 in third. And that's going to be a cracking final tonight. Surprised how quick it is.
Yeah, really quick. Sometimes we've seen some of the events a little bit off the pace, a little bit off the boil, but all of those boys there were on it this morning, and Cam Curl, who finished third, even posted a season's best, so they weren't coming this morning to kind of mess around, and probably seeing that heat before, they knew they had to get in and swim quick.
So 48.57 wins the final heat, but he's not going to go in fastest by any means into the final, and that's going to be an absolute scrap in the final, trying to find the right words. So here we go. Burris goes in fastest, 48.1. Whittle second, 48.3. Dean third, 48.5. Matt Richards fourth. Litzfield fifth. You know what? In Paris, I wouldn't be too surprised if those guys, maybe with the addition of Duncan Scott, could medal in the 4x100 free relay.
Definitely. I think last year we were sort of looking for one or two of those 100-metre freestyle swimmers. We obviously had Jacob Whittle come through so quick last year, but it wasn't really our event. This year, I think we've had in that heat there 4 or 5 really world-class times, and that's only the heat. So if you imagine what they can do tonight, as you say, throw Duncan Scott in there, even James Guy, you could pop him in there. He's definitely not one to forget about, and you've got 5, 6, 7 world-class 100 freestyle swimmers that join our 4x2, sort of up there with some of the best relay swimmers in the world.
And also great news is that it's so young as well. I mean, in that previous heat, I have to say, I thought that the swimmers of Lewis Burrows was masterful, really was masterful. But Jacob Whittle, he's only 17 right now. So he's in great shape for Paris. Matt Richards, who's qualified 4th, how old is he? He's born 2002, so he's 19. He's born in December 2002, so he's 19. So we've got Whittle, 17, Matt Richards, 19, and then, well, the old man, Tom Dean. What is he, 21? Wow. It's exciting. Sorry, I'll get back in my box. That is really exciting. So, the first heat in this session of the men's 1500 meters freestyle. It's actually heat 4. There's 7 heats of 1500 meters freestyle, but this is heat 4, and heats 1, 2, and 3 will be swum this afternoon in a separate heat session. So Josh Denholm of Newcastle swim team, he goes as the fastest seed in this, the first of 3 heats in this heat session of the men's 1500 meters freestyle.
Yeah, some of these boys swimming tonight, well, sorry, later on this afternoon, as we say, heats 1 to 3. So if these guys want to post some really quick times, regardless of their age or junior swimming, they've got to kind of make sure they can do that this morning, because there are 3 heats coming in this afternoon.
So we'll keep you up to date here with the split. So we got 59.7 from Lucas Staines up there. Started off very, very quickly from Wickham Districts. And we've talked quite a lot about the Wickham guys, haven't we? The Wickham distance program has been very good indeed. It's really come on leaps and bounds recently, and they've got an awful lot of really good youngsters in the distance events, and they've looked fabulous.
Yeah, a lot of them as well have a really nice technique, which is nice to see. You don't just have youngsters that happen to be talented and they're just scrapping through races. They've got really nice long strokes, and we look at the top of the pool there in the green hat, probably not doing overly high stroke rate. He's keeping it nice and long, nice and controlled, and that's what you want in a 1500 meters freestyle, because it is such a long way.
So it's 30 lengths of this pool, and most local pools are 25 meters long. This, of course, the Olympic length 50, but most local pools are 25 meters, so 60 lengths, just the 60 for a local pool, 1500 meters freestyle. This 30 in the 50 meter pool, and very nice, easy stroke. Look at that, 205.74 at the 200 for Lucas Staines, the first turn at the 200 meters mark. So a 66 second 100.
Both of these boys in the outside lanes are looking really comfortable here. In lane 0, James Raw from City of Leicester also looks quite nice and controlled.
And the 1500 meters freestyle was added to the Olympic program for women when they added for men the 800 metres freestyle. Traditionally, the women did the 8 and the men did the 15, which was always really bizarre. I never really quite worked that out. But now they've added, as they've had in the World Championships for a long time, they've had both the 800 and the 1500. What is your views on adding the extra distance event there? Is it just another medal for the distance guy?
I think so. It almost seems a little bit unfair, I guess, if you're a 100, 200 freestyler or 100, 200 breaststroker, you've got 2 chances to potentially swim well. For the distance guys that have got the 400s, maybe probably quite good at maybe 4 and 8 rather than 4 and 15. So it just gives more competition, more depth from those guys to race a little bit more. But it's definitely a hard, heavy program if you're going to go 400 heat final, 800 heat final and a 1500 heat final. We saw a lot of the open water swimmers come down to then swim at the Olympics in that 1500. So it is a lot longer than the 800. It does require a slightly different technique, slightly different training, because it is double the distance, even though it's a distance event. So it's challenging to train for all 3, but it's quite nice that they have that opportunity in the program. And even though it does take a long time, and they were picked over some of the 50 events, which is slightly controversial because everybody likes the 50s, they go quite fast, but it just gives those distance swimmers another opportunity to swim at an Olympics rather than just having a 1500 or an 800. They've now got 2 chances to swim in that higher distance category.
And they haven't made it particularly easy at all, because they also, it's not heat declared winners, so they've got to do heats and finals, which I think is utterly brutal. So Lucas Staines 4:19.73 at the 400 metres mark, and well, he's just been overtaken now by the guy right next to him in lane number 8. That's Tim LeBeurle of Beckenham, and there's 21 lengths to go at this turn. Such a tough event. Did you ever do a 1500 metres freestyle? It wasn't really one. Was it? You're nodding your head. You did a 1500?
I've done every event, I think, of the program over my years. I think I actually did a 1500 event at a duel in the pool, which was GB versus Germany, a long time ago. I wasn't necessarily the quickest, but I don't think I was terrible. Having that strong training background, lots of volume, I was kind of thrown into the 800 and the 1500s to make sure that when I did the 100 at the end of a 400 IM, it felt easy. And it definitely didn't ever feel easy, but it was good to have the training to sort of train up in a distance, which meant that helped me in the 400 medley. So I did a fair few 800s, a couple of 1500s, but as I got older, they were definitely too long for me.
But well, it is fascinating, isn't it? You can do the 800 for so long. I mean, it seems to me anything over 200, and I sort of start getting a nosebleed thinking about it. But I mean, it is a different feeling doing 8 to 15. I mean, Becky Adlington did the 8. I don't remember her doing many of any 1500 metres.
Yeah, the 1500, it is definitely a distance event. I did a couple of 800s, which sometimes they almost feel like a sprint because you're splitting a lot faster. It is almost half the distance. Your 400 split at the beginning might not necessarily be that much slower than your 400 freestyle time, but if you do that in a 1500, you're almost not finishing. Well, I definitely wasn't finishing in any form of sort of decent shape. So it's a lot more about pacing, and the 1500, and Dan Jervis does this really well. He'll kind of get in and he'll just stick to a pace and he'll tick over length after length after length, and he'll still have enough at the end to turn his legs on when he needs to. So it's almost about giving enough but not giving too much, and getting that balance right is quite difficult in the 1500 meters, because if you save too much, you've got way too much energy at the end, and if you maybe go 100 too early or even a 200 too early, like we sometimes see at world level, you just drop off the pace really quick because you've done 1200, 1300 meters, not just 600 or 700 meters. So it is quite easy to almost make a mistake and sometimes get too carried away. So it's quite important that you do a lot of them and you really use your training sessions to really work out where your limits are, what your strengths are and what you're good at. Because if you're just kind of thinking, I'll come in and I'll race 1500s and see how they go, it's not really enough time for you to kind of learn a lot more about what your strengths are and what necessarily the best race plan for you is.
So the 700-meter turn there, Tim LaBelle of Beckenham is leading. There's the guys in the call room, and they can see themselves on the camera. There you go, fix your hair, look at that, make sure you're looking cool for the camera, for your mum and dad and your friends. It's lane number 7. They were looking pretty relaxed. There they are, looking pretty relaxed in the call room. Look, they're having a little cheeky smile, having a look around, go, oh, there you go. But that is actually, I mean, it's great for the juniors. It's a great thing to do to get the prep ready, to feel what it's like, because that's what happens at the Olympics.
Yeah, definitely, and I feel like those guys are laughing a little bit, maybe that they know they've got 1,500 to come and they're either in denial or that they're just trying to stay nice and relaxed. If you get you'll see Adam Peaty getting really fired and pumped up in the call room, but his race is over in a minute. These boys get too hyped up, get too excited, go down the first 50 of a 1,500 way too fast, then they're going to suffer. So you want to be nice and relaxed heading into a distance event, because if you are tense and you're a bit more nervous or panicky, then you can just get in and fluster. And if you do that initially, you're almost throwing yourself straight off for not a bad swim, but it just then becomes really difficult to either get back on track, back on pace, or just settle into a nice rhythm, because you're almost too tense and you're too nervous and you're too excited. So you want to stay nice and relaxed before a distance event.
Well, you certainly do this. I find it fascinating to watch Adam Peaty in the call room, because he never mucks about, does it? Even in the British Championships, you'd think he's a world record holder. He's the world champion. He's the Olympic champion. He's the Commonwealth champion. He's the European champion. You'd think he'd come to the British Championships and he'd go, yeah, whatever. This is no problem at all. He's so professional in every single element. We saw him prowling around and really concentrating on what he was doing. And such a great role model, really, for the juniors.
You don't often get many chances to rehearse that part of the race, and people think that the race is just what happens in the pool, but for Adam in particular, he has a whole kind of routine that he does beforehand. So he'll probably come down to the pool at the same time, he'll do the same warm-up, he might have the same snacks, he goes through the same kind of like mental rehearsal, sort of mental talk, positive self-talk, maybe goes through his race plan in his head. So yes, you can practice the swimming in training, you can rehearse that, but there aren't many opportunities where you get to go into a call room and practice that little bit. So he's using the British Championships as one of those times to practice, because at local competitions you don't get that. So it's almost one of the very fair few times that he'll get to practice that part of his race prep, because that is almost just important as what he does in the pool.
Well, we've seen him win the 50 metres breaststroke here, Adam Peaty. We've seen him win the 100 metres breaststroke in a phenomenal 58.58 with James Wilby second, 59.1. Both of them also swimming the 200 metres breaststroke here. So again, the juniors will have another opportunity to just watch Peaty in the call room. And I know that our producer, our executive producer, will make sure that we see that, because it's just so important just to see how the big guys do it. And so many juniors and seniors, to be quite frank, can emulate somebody like Adam Peaty. I mean, you can't really go wrong by doing that, can you?
No, definitely not. I think if it almost works for some of the world's best, then you want to try and be looking at that and thinking, does that work for me? I know there were a couple of times, if I'm being honest, where I was probably too focused in the call room, especially when I was a little bit younger. I thought I have to be really focused. I have to kind of get in the zone and look really scary and have my music on. And sometimes when that happened, I then got in my race and it was just a little bit too hectic and a little bit of a mess. So I learned quite quickly that for me, I ended up enjoying being a bit more relaxed, still obviously focused, not necessarily kind of wasting loads of energy, jumping around, chatting, sort of giving my teammates a hard time or whatever in there. But I learned quite quickly that for me it was, I need to be focused, but I need to not really overthink. Yes, I want to go through my race plan, but I'm not going to get stressed if I'm necessarily forgetting something here and there, or I've not got 2 hats in my bag, or I've not got everything that I need, and my sort of race prep hasn't been 100%. So it's finding that nice balance, and some swimmers are either one or the other, and it just depends what works for them. So it's not kind of one fits all in the call room.
Well, those guys in the call room are going to be up fairly shortly, because that was the 1,100 metres turn, so there's 400 metres to go at that last turn. And leading, as he has done for quite a long time now, from the 500 metres mark. So for the last 600 metres is Tim LaBelle of Beckenham. Actually swam for Mauritius in the Indian Ocean Island Games in 2019. Say that sounds like a job to commentate on, doesn't it? The Indian Ocean Island Games. He represented Mauritius. He got a silver medal in the 1500 meters freestyle there and a 4th place on the 400 free. I've got to say, I might put my application in to be the commentator for that, because that sounds absolutely wonderful. But the black cat up there starting to get a little bit tired, looking maybe a little bit of a slightly jerky stroke with a pink suit there. Tim LeBurle, and starting to have a go at him is Jake Tompkins in lane 7, 1 lane closer to us from the leader, and then Luke Hornsey of East Lothian in 6. So it's 8, 7 and 6 at the moment, but it's very tight indeed.
Yeah, these 3 boys are really using each other to kind of help them through the back end of this race. I think Timothy's gone to his legs. Maybe his arms are getting a little bit tired and he's had to kind of go there quite early. We've also seen Luke trying to pick up the pace and use his legs. So it becomes almost like not a sprint finish, but you'll see swimmers just try and desperately hang on towards the last couple of 100 meters of the race. And now is the tough bit where you want to dig in, and it really matters and who's paced the race well, who's got the strength to kind of finish the race strong. And to be fair, there's nothing really splitting these 3 boys at the moment.
Well, there's 5 lengths to go, and this is the first heat in this session of the 1500 meters freestyle. It's heat 4 of 7, and in the center of those 3 guys, Jake Tompkins of Barnet Coptor. Interesting kick he's got, Jake. He's just really using the kick there, maybe for a little bit of balance, whereas the guys either side of him really working their legs a lot more. But at the moment, it's working for Jake, but quite a different style.
Yeah, he's almost saved his legs for the entirety of the race. They're kind of not crossing over and swinging a little bit, but they're not really doing anything. So he's not using any energy to kick those, and his power is all coming from his upper body. So we may see him just go straight to his legs at the end. That might be his race plan. He might have saved them for the whole race, and then the last 100 meters really go to the legs, and he could maybe pull away from the swimmers around him because he's had the ability to do that. And if he has, then he's paced this really well. But it just shows how strong he must be upper body to pull himself almost the whole way through a 1500 meter swim.
Well, he looks good in the centre, and he's started to pick up the pace now. Has Jake Tompkins of Barnet Coptor, Rhys Gormley, his coach. And he's a youngster, he's a junior, and this is a pretty impressive swim from him. He's really started to pick it up inside this last sort of 500 meters or so. And this will be the 1400 meters turn, so they should get the bell here to signify 2 lengths to go. The final 100, indeed, there you go. So over first is Jake Tompkins of Barnet Coptor in the yellow hat. 1 lane closer to us from him is Luke Hornsey of East Lothian, both born in 2006. So both of them still, what is that, 15 years of age, I think, both of them are. So they can both qualify for the European Junior Championships. And this has been a good swim from both of them.
Yeah, really good from both of these boys here. They're starting to break away now from Timothy in lane 8. So they've just almost timed this to perfection. And there we go, 1 length to go. The legs are really going from both of these boys.
And it is fascinating that Jake's kick now in the yellow hat has suddenly come in. He was dragging his feet and just using his balance, but you're really using it for propulsion now. And Luke Hornsey having a go at him in the orange suit closer to us, the black cat, and it looks like Hornsey, well, has he left it too late? Because he looks super. He looks like he's doing a 200 freestyle. That's a great swim. Look at that. Wow. Wow, that last 25. I think they're both of those guys, if they go a little bit earlier, I think they've got a cracking chance of going quicker, but some good swims there. 2 16:30s. Luke Hornsey wins it, Jake Tompkins second. Third right at the top there, where he did a lot of work in lane 8. Timothy LeBurle of Beckenham. And then just fell back in the last 400 meters or so. But Luke Hornsey wins it in 16:30. His lifetime best was 16:38, so an 8-second lifetime best for him. And lifetime best for the first 2, I think, as well, wasn't it, Tammy?
Yeah, really good swim from both of those. So entry time 16:38 and 16:40. So to take off 8 to 10 seconds here at the British Championships is a really, really positive thing to do. And if you're going to swim a PB, you want to do it here at the British Champs when kind of the eyes are on you and people are watching. So it's a really good time to be able to drop that time.
Luke Hornsey winning that heat 4 of the men's 1500 metres freestyle. Jake Tompkins second and Tim LaBelle third. This heat 5 of 7 and 5 and 6 will be in this session, and then actually heat 7 will be a heat declared winner final this evening. So this heat 5, it's the middle, it's the second of 3 heats in this session of the 1500 metres freestyle, and Max Adams of City of Salford, it's coached by John Stout, is in lane number 4. He's a junior, born in March 2004, so he can make the European Junior Championships. The consideration time for this 1500 metres freestyle for the juniors is a very quick 15:30.7. Well, that's a super quick time, so I'm not sure that these guys will be looking to achieve quite that, but certainly they'll have a race plan. They'll have talked about it with their coach, and right now, down this first 100 metres, they really will be testing it. I wonder whether the adrenaline kicks in a little bit too much, if they can control it, if they know how that feels, because they haven't done a national championships for at least 3 years, if ever.
Yeah, some of these juniors may have only been sort of 12, 13 when the last British Championships was on, may have been just outside the age group to qualify. So for a lot of the swimmers that we're seeing here in those earlier heats, this is their first senior sort of big deal competition. They may have been to counties and regionals, but haven't been to even a British summer nationals, never mind a British championship. So it's great that they've got that experience, but as you say, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And if you're kind of thinking, I'm at the British Championships, like I need to swim really well, I've not really raced for a few years, and you get in your head, then sometimes it can almost go the other way and it can be a detriment to you. So hopefully a lot of these swimmers, and we're seeing a lot of this happening anyway, are just getting here, they've got massive smiles on their faces, they're really enjoying being in this environment, and a lot of that sort of excitement and happiness that you're seeing from swimmers is producing really good swims. And lots of PBs we've seen so far from boys and girls that have come here. It is their first major, and they're taking massive chunks off their entry times.
Well, they certainly are. And at the moment, leading up in lane number 8 is Adam Hall of Loughborough University. In fact, I think maybe possibly first to turn is Jack Munsey in 5, very close between 5 and 8. Also going well in 9 is Harry Wynne-Jones of City of Milton Keynes. But now, well, an emphatic move in the centre there in lane number 5. Jack Munsey of University of Stirling. He swam that first 200 metres reasonably comfortably, and then, well, somehow took almost about a metre off the field in a very short period of time and gone back again. Is it his turns that are so good? He is good at turns. Look at that. Very good.
Yeah, even though he's only sort of doing 2 kicks underwater, he's coming off the wall, gliding for a second, doing 1 big kick, 2 big kick, and he's coming up past the 5-6 metre mark. So we saw him in the 400 freestyle on day 1. He swam a personal best time there, so he's in good form coming into this meet. He swam at the Dave McCullough meet a few weeks ago and was swimming well there, so he probably knew that his 400, he had a PB in him, so for him to come do a PB in that swim, and then he's probably using that sort of adrenaline and sort of form that he knows he's on into this 1500. And he does look really, really nice and long here. He's got a lovely still head position. He's looking right across the pool when he breathes, stretching, gliding, and really, you can see he's really holding the water on every single stroke.
Well, he looks lovely, he really does. Nice and long and powerful. But it's very impressive. If you see this turn, it must be his streamline, because it's really beautiful, really tight, couple of little butterfly kicks. But he's taking about, what, half a metre maybe off the other guys. It was not maybe 50 centimetres, that's about it. But when you've got 29 50 centimetres, that adds up.
Yeah, I won't do the maths because I'm not going to get that right, but it's definitely a long way over the race. So I'm being told 14.5 metres. So if the maths is wrong, it was Andy Jameson and not me.
Well, here's the call room again, and let's see how these guys react. This is the first time I think they will ever have been in a call room when there's a camera on them. And be careful, chaps. You're live on national television. But no, it is interesting to see the reactions as well, because there's not only a camera there, but they've also got the television screen which shows them on it. And I would imagine none of them have really been in a call room before at a major national, international championships and had that happen. So great practice, really fun. And again, leading in lane number 5 for University of Stirling, Jack Munsey. Another lovely kick, 2 kicks off the wall, the 2 fly kicks. Up there in 8 is Adam Hall of Loughborough University. In 2nd, in 3rd, it looks like maybe is Marshall Illingworth of City of Glasgow. And then there's a real lane 9, lane 7, lane 4, and lane 3 chasing. But he got to 200 and then really started turning it up. Lovely, long, powerful, beautiful distance freestyle. Let's watch this turn. Lovely tight streamline, 1, 2 kicks. Straight up into a breath, but he's done 2 kicks already. That's okay, maybe, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think we'll give him that. He's holding those underwater phases quite well, so for him to come up and breathe at 6 or 7 meters is not necessarily a bad thing because he's getting that extra distance underwater. If he was coming up at 2 or 3 meters and breathing first stroke, then maybe I'd have a slightly different opinion on that, but he's using the turns really well, and some distance swimmers will choose to maximize their underwater work. Some swimmers that are maybe not as good will just think, oh, I'm just going to turn, pop up and swim. Becky Addington and Jazz Carlin were kind of synonymous for that. They wouldn't really maximize their underwater work, probably because they thought, I'm not that good at it. Why waste time underneath the surface when I'm faster swimming? So it's all kind of personal preference, but Jack's using the walls to his advantage. He's not resting around the walls. He's maximizing that underwater phase, and it just means that he's carrying lovely momentum. It's nice and smooth. He's not kind of breaking out and it being really ragged. So he's swimming really well here, and at the moment he's doing it on his own, which is difficult enough.
It certainly is. His entry time 16:18, and well, I think he's going to be way under that if he keeps on going as he is at the moment. He's looking very good, as long as he hasn't gone out too early. I mean, he got to the 200 meters mark nice and comfortable, and then really did push it after that. But it wasn't a massive reaction. It wasn't like he suddenly started sprinting. He just seemed to just turn up the dial a little bit, and he's kept that dial on at his new pace, and he looks very good indeed in the centre there. It is in lane number 5. Jack Munsey of the University of Stirling. So this will be the 700-meter turn, and we'll have a look at the clock here on this 700-meter wall, see how he's going. Really lovely stroke, almost a catch-up stroke on one of the arms there. So 7:26.1 at the 700-meter mark. The halfway turn is coming up at the end of this wall, so we'll have a pretty good idea of what kind of time that we think he's going to do. But his lifetime best is 16:29, and I think he can go well under that if he can keep on going.
Yeah, he looks really good here. I think when you're coming into a race and you are, as I said before, you know you're in good form, you've got that confidence, so he's probably thought, I'm going to break away from the rest of the field. I know I've got a really good swim in me, and he's just taking over. His stroke count, if I was to count, probably looks very, very even. He's not really scrapping, he's not gone to his legs yet very much. He's just nicely working through this 1500-meter race, and as you say, he's coming up to the 800-meter mark, 15 laps to go, so he is halfway now.
Well, at the halfway, Amy, he was 7:58.44, so there is a chance, I suppose, if he swims it even split, that he could go under 16 minutes, which, given his lifetime best, is 16:29, and that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be really good for him to come in and do such a huge personal best. One of those swimmers that was probably in a little bit of no man's land during the pandemic. One of those juniors that was slightly older than a junior swimmer, not really on any sort of programs or pathways, so didn't have access to facilities, and he's come back in the last sort of 12 months up at the University of Stirling, working with coach Josh Williamson, and it seems like he's really enjoying himself, and he looks like he's having a really good swim here. So there the boys waving in the call room, giving us a little bit of a smile for the next heat, which will be heat 6 of this 1500-meter event.
Well, 65.33 the last 100 meters. So if he's going to keep up at that pace, it looks like he might be just over the 16-minute mark, but with an entry time of 16:29, he is going very, very well indeed. an impressive swim. One more heat after this in this session, and then we've got the fastest 8 guys will be in the final heat. It is heat declared winner, so in theory, Jack Munsey could win it from this heat, even though he won't be in the final heat this evening. So first to turn was Jack Munsey. Second up there in lane number 8 is Adam Hall of Loughborough University. Third in 7 is Cam Carlos of Barnet Copthall. And fourth in lane 6, Marshall Illingworth of City of Glasgow. But now he's got about, what, 10, 12 metre lead at the moment. As Jack Munsey, the 18-year-old from the University of Stirling. Josh Williamson is coach?
Yeah, so he's up there at University of Stirling, so there's kind of a few different programmes up there. There's your High Performance 1 group, which is run by Stephen Tigg and Bradley Hare, which is where the likes of Duncan Scott train, Kiana McInnes, Ross Murdoch. And then just below that, you've got our High Performance Potential Group 2, which is where a lot of these swimmers, so we saw Rory Dickinson earlier, Jack Munsey, Angus Allison, all those swimmers kind of sit. So they've got a really good group of athletes now that have come to uni in the last 12 months. They're really working together, pushing each other. I know just from what I hear that they give each other a hard time if their diet's been bad, and they sort of at the supermarket looking at who's put what in their shopping basket. So there's a good group of boys there that are really competitive, and it shows because a lot of them here have come and they're swimming really well.
Well, there is a fantastic camaraderie, certainly, and I think the whole coaching team there is very impressive. I have to say, I had a chat with Steve Tigg just before the Olympic trials last year, and I was blown away with just how professional the guy is, the chief coach. And he talks about, and he's such a lovely guy, he talks about his whole coaching team and how everybody else contributes, and it's not just him, but it's everyone else. And you know, when somebody's really good at something, they explain it, and you know, it's all really quite complicated, and then somebody's really, really good, and it gets really complicated. And then somebody's outstanding at something, and it suddenly becomes really easy. And the way Steve Tigg explained everything was just phenomenally simple. It was amazing.
Yeah, they work to a slightly different training programme in Stirling that many are used to, so it's kind of a more polarised model. So it's very individual to the athlete. So I remember when I was there last year, there'd maybe be 5 or 6 different key sets going on at one time. There's obviously only 2 coaches, maybe 4 stopwatches at most. So a lot of the responsibility falls on the athlete. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're wanting to be one of the best in the world, you have to take on that responsibility. So there's a great group of athletes there that are all wanting to be there on their own right. They're not kind of mollycoddled and through their coaching. They make the decisions based on what they know should be the right decisions for their performance. And there's a great network around them, Performance Lifestyle. They have Neil Shanks in the gym. You have JT, physio, so there's a great group of staff that support Steve and Brad and Josh, and it's just a really nice atmosphere to be a part of.
Well, it was very impressive to listen to the story. It certainly was. He just explained it so simply. And Jack Munsey at the 1200 metres turn, 12:52, 12:52.36. So he was a 65.1 at the last 100 metres, 65.8, I think that was, 65.9. So he's just slowed up a tiny bit, starting to get a little bit tired. But look at that, he's not even in the pitch. He's gone through the pitch already. Second at the moment up there in lane number 8, it is Adam Hall of Loughborough University. And then in 7 next to him, Cam Carlos of Barnet. And then there's a bit of a scrap in the centre. You can see just at the top of those yellow lanes in 6 is Marshall Illingworth of City of Glasgow, and in 4 in the yellow lanes Max Adams of City of Salford, and then in 3, one lane closer to us, Alexandra Volkovoy of City of Salford. But Munsey still going and still going well, just a little bit slow on that last 100 metres, and this is the 1300 metres turn, and he's getting tired. He certainly is. He's gone quick, but he's getting tired.
Yeah, he's coming up slightly earlier on the turns now. He's increased his stroke rate a little bit, trying to look for any way he can to sort of hold that split, averaging sort of 65 lows to begin with, and he's just slightly dropping off to sort of 65.8, 0.9. So we want to see if he can really hold this now. He's only got 4 lengths to go, but this is the bit where it is really, really tough, and it's hard work when you're doing it out at the front, totally on your own, and you've not got anyone to look across and really push you.
So 3 lengths to go then in this second last heat in this session of the 1500 meters freestyle. One more session tonight, or one more heat, I should say, tonight. And he's about to lap the chap down here in the green hat, which is in lane 2, Joey Tippin of Swansea University. So there is the leader. He's in lane number 5. He is Jack Munsey, and he's from the University of Stirling, and he will be getting the bell. The bell says 2 lengths to go. Big breath going into that turn, Amy. He is tired, isn't he?
Yeah, he's thinking, I need that now. And here he comes straight off that turn, looking for something in his legs. He can now see the swimmer that he's lapped just across the pool, so he'll be using that kind of benchmark to try and chase, even though he's slightly behind. But he did hold that 100-meter split really well with 65.9, so he's not dropped too much, and you'd imagine that this one will be faster with it being his last 100.
Well, 65.9 for each of the last 3 100s, exactly 65.9, so he swam really well, and 50 meters to go. Well done, sir. This is going to be a huge lifetime best for him. Jack Munsey of University of Stirling. Now he's going to his legs. Look at this. Suddenly woken up and gone, oh my goodness me, I could do a little bit faster. He looks so good.
Yeah, a lot of swimmers we see doing that. I think it's almost that I'm finally nearly there. I'll find something even if I haven't got much left. So we see a lot of swimmers go to legs almost too late, but...
Well, this is a really great swim from Jack Munsey. His lifetime best, 16:29.1. He's just gone 16:07.6. What an amazing swim. 22-second lifetime best. 22 seconds for the 18-year-old from University of Stirling, and that's a really fantastic swim. Second up there in lane 8 is Adam Hall of Loughborough University. Third in 7 was Cam Carlos of Barnet Coptor. Fourth, Max Adams, City of Salford, and fifth, Alexandra Volkovoy. Some really good swims in the centre there. Most of those lifetime bests, but a 22-second, was it? Did I say 22? I've forgotten already. 20-odd second lifetime best for the winner, Jack Munsey. What a great swim. And here is Joey Tippin of Swansea University. British Summer Nationals and the 16-year-olds back in 2019. He was a bronze medalist on the 800 metres freestyle. And he's still only 18 years of age, so he's got a long time to go, and I'm sure he'll be learning an awful lot from this swim. Just finishing now. Time of about 17:24, 24.67. So that completes heat 5 of 7 of the men's 1500 metres freestyle. Won by Jack Munsey in a 20-odd second lifetime best. Very, very impressive. There you go. I'm guessing Mum and Dad will be happy with that, as well as Jack, as well as his coach.
Yeah, his coach will be pretty chuffed. It's nice when you can come into a competition and drop time. In a 1500 metres to drop 20 seconds, or 22 seconds is definitely something to be really chuffed of. So if you work that out per length, he's knocked off sort of 0.7, 0.8 off his PB every single length. So it shows that what he's been working on is obviously paying off.
Well, impressive stuff in that heat 5 of 7. Just one more this morning. One more 1500 metres freestyle this morning, and then the final heat tonight. So this is heat 6 of the men's 1500 metres freestyle. I suppose you could call it the B final, really, because there are no finals tonight of the 1500 metres freestyle. So this swimmer's ranked 9 through 16 on entry times coming into this British Championships, and then swimmers ranked 1 to 8 will go in the final heat at the start of this evening session. And out quick in lane number 5, Daniel Marotta of Swansea University. Also going with him in 6 and in 7, Rhys Grady of Stockport Metro and Luke McGee of City of Sunderland.
Yeah, we've got 4 swimmers to keep an eye on in this B final, as if we like to call it, that are junior swimmers. So their junior consideration time is a 15:31. So a little bit under some of the personal bests that we've got in the programme so far, but if they're swimming as well as maybe Jack did in the heat before, it seems like 20 seconds isn't that much of an ask really for some of these swimmers that haven't swam in the last 3 or 4 years at this level, that are coming into this competition and that are just really enjoying being here. So if you can take 1 second off every 100 over a 1500, you've done a 15-second PB. So it's not unrealistic for swimmers to drop massive amounts in distance events.
Well, as was seen in that last heat, was 22-second lifetime best. I mean, that's just amazing, isn't it? Really a really great swim. Also, I think there's another one to watch, maybe up there in lane number 9, Matthew Woodall of City of Sheffield. And I only say that because on the 400 meters freestyle, he went from a 4:05 lifetime best to 3:58. So he knocked 7 seconds off his lifetime best to set a really good time. 3:58 is a proper time for 400 meters freestyle. So I don't know what his 1500 is like, but it's going to be quite interesting right at the top there, the red hat, to watch him as well, Matt Woodall. But lane 2 now, Thomas Treblecock of Plymouth Leander. First to turn at the 200 meters. Second was Michael James Flynn of City of Glasgow in 1.
Yeah, Thomas looking really good here. So he was also the champion in the 800 meters freestyle at the Swim England Summer Nationals in 2018, which was almost just before lockdown and the pandemic. So he's clearly a distance swimmer. He also swam the 1500 freestyle there, and he's had a gold at the Southwest Regional Championship. So his tendency is the distance events. But we've got a lot of swimmers in this this 1500 that also kind of dabble in the open water events. There's not as many of them to compete in, so it's good to when some swimmers can come from the open water to the pool and can cross over from pool to open water, like we saw sort of Gregory Paltrineri do at the Olympic Games. So a couple of these swimmers will be using their 1500 to maybe work on a bit of speed for their 10K open water. Ultimately, they'll be sort of using, well, what can I work on from a 1500 that'll help me with my 10K and vice versa. So it's good that these athletes have got the opportunity to do both. It's definitely cold enough in this country that in the winter you don't want to be swimming outside for your open water. So a lot of the open water training is done in the pool. So it's good that we've got a lot of athletes here that have that crossover and we can see them compete at the British Championships.
It certainly is, and they're looking good as well at the moment. Look at this. There is a lane 0. The closest to us is lane 0. They don't use that in the finals. They don't use the outside lane, so 0 and 9. So you can have... I've always wondered why. I was always wondering why you don't have the closest lane to us as 1 and go 1 through 10. But I think the answer is because when you get to the finals, you use the second lane in. You don't use the outside 2 lanes. So you have the first one in the finals is lane 1. So then you do need a lane 0. I don't think I explained that particularly well, but there's a lane 0 on this side and there's a lane 9 on the outside. But Treblecock going well so far. Michael James Flynn second in lanes 2 and 1. And there is a lane 0, so it's the second and third lanes in from the bottom of the picture leading. And Treblecock of Plymouth starting to put the hammer down a little bit, and Michael James Flynn closer to us from that leader has seen him and he's going with him.
Yeah, I think if you see a swimmer next to you, try and break away. Especially if you're kind of over one side of the pool, you're not using the swimmers around you to kind of pace you a little bit. So you might be thinking, oh, well, if he's going to go, I'm going to go. Sometimes that can pull a swimmer to do a personal best time. Sometimes it can be at a detriment to them because they've just got carried away and not stuck to their own race plan. So fingers crossed both of these boys haven't got a little bit too excited too early, because as we've said and as we've seen many times before, 1500 is a long way and there's still sort of 21 laps to go.
Wow, 21 laps to go. That's amazing. Well, 20 at this turn. And what is he? He's 5:13.6. 5:13.60 at the 500 meters. So he's gone out well. He's quite considerably faster than the previous heat. Thomas Treblecock of Plymouth Leander, coached by Roberto Pavoni. And we've had a little chat about Pavoni. He was a very, very good medley swimmer and knows all about endurance and making sure that you can stick in a decent 1500, 800, 400.
Yeah, he was also a really good junior swimmer, so he knows what sort of training is required at that younger age. He was one of the swimmers that went out to train at what's called an offshore program, so a long time ago now I'm talking. Some of the boys had the opportunity to swim in Australia for a year or so and get some experience being away from home, being independent and looking after themselves. And Robbie was one of those athletes. So he's probably using some of his experience and what he's gone through to kind of coach and help some of his younger swimmers that he's coaching now currently at Plymouth.
So this is the 600 meters turn, and we'll just look at the times here. 6:18.1, 6:18.10. So that's 64.5 for that last 100 meters, and that's pretty good. So 65 was the rep times for the previous heat, so 64.5 is a good half a second faster per 100, and that's that adds up over the 1500 meters freestyle. It really does. So, Amy, we were talking earlier, and I asked a question about the 4 individual gold medalists from Australia at the Olympic Games, and I think we gave a few. We gave Emma McKeon the sprint freestyler, who was obviously brilliant.
Yeah, we gave Kylie McKeon 100 backstroke. We had Zach is his first name, so we had Stubblety Cock. We've remembered that is now Zach. And finally, I don't know how on earth we forgot Ariana Titmus. So only sort of one of the very few swimmers to swim faster than Katie Ledecky, so I don't actually know how we forgot that one. Apologies.
Well, I'm going to ask you another quiz question. I'm not going to give you any of the answers on this one. Name all the British swimmers from Tokyo Olympics who came back with a gold medal, at least one gold medal in their pocket. So I'm not going to give you any of the answers right now, and nor is Amy, but name all the all the British Olympic team swimmers who came back with a gold medal, at least one in their pocket. And if you get a bonus for those who got 2 gold medals. Interesting watching the swimmer in lane number 4, and the black hat there just was looking up just to see how many lengths to go. The turning judges are holding up little placards to indicate how many lengths to go, and it was a 15 lengths when the swimmers were just turning at that last turn. So that was the halfway mark of this 1500 meters freestyle. This is the 800 meters turn, and he's going really well in lane number 2. It's Thomas Trevelcock of Plymouth, and he really looks good. He's working hard, but him and his coach Roberto Pavoni will certainly have got to this phase of the race. This is sort of deep into it, that sort of no man's land, 800 to 1200, isn't it, where you can really easily lose concentration and lose your race. But he's just swimming past now. You can see him breathing to the right, and his teammates just giving him a little bit of a wave there.
Yeah, it's definitely the part in the race, or the part of the race, that gets quite difficult. As I say, if you get a little bit lazy or you're starting to struggle, you can drop off the time massively, and then you'll really struggle to get back onto that forms for the last 100 and 200 sort of sprint finish, as we like to call it. So it's super important to stay focused, making sure that, for me, it was counting my strokes, making sure that if my stroke count's going up, am I slipping or am I just getting tired, to still hold that pace? Do I need to use my legs a tiny bit more for balance? Am I sort of getting really low in the water? So you're almost really trying to check in with yourself and assess where you're at, rather than just think, I'm just going to keep swimming and swimming, because it's so easy to just drop off the pace. And as we say, those split times then get slower and slower and slower. We saw Jack in the heat before get a little bit tired, but then he held for the next 300 meters at 65.9. So he did really well to make sure he held on to that. So that's what you look for in distance swimming, is when you are struggling, you don't want to struggle and get tireder and tireder. You want to try and hold that pace and find a way to do so, whether that's coming up slightly earlier off your turns, maybe adding another kick on your turns to use that to help you to your advantage. So you're almost trying to find a tenth here and there on everything that you're doing. You might think, I'm going to maybe breathe 2 and 3 on this length, because I know I'm getting really scrappy when I'm just breathing to my right. So there's a lot of things that you can kind of alter and change and adapt, and that's why some of the best distance swimmers in the world either get into a rhythm and just keep going and going and going, or they'll all of a sudden sort of change things up, and they'll be able to reassess where they're at and kind of gauge that the pace is slipping and they need to sort of change tactic.
Well, he still looks good, doesn't he? He's really working well, and he actually looks fresher now at that 1,000-meter turn with only 500 meters to go. Only 500 meters to go in this, the last heat in this session of the 1,500 meters freestyle, the final session will have the fastest 8 seeded swimmers, but he's going very, very well indeed. That is Thomas Treblecock of Plymouth Leander in lane number 2. Just turning now in lane 1 is Michael James Flynn. He's also going well, and these guys' lifetime best 16:18 and 16:21, so they're going to be miles inside that. Really very impressive indeed. 3rd, Alexander Cooper of Wickham and District. 4th, Rhys Grady of Stockport. 5th, Jackson O'Rourke of Northampton. But here in the frame with just 8 lengths to go, 400 metres to go, is Thomas Treblecock of Plymouth. So Thomas over first, James Flynn just coming into the turn now in 2nd, and he's working well. So I'll just repeat that question then for you. So at the Olympic Games, I can tell you that the medal count was pretty impressive. It was 8 medals in total, the best medal count that we've ever had. And Great Britain won 4 golds, 3 silvers, and 1 bronze. Now, by my reckoning, 11 swimmers came back with medals. And I did ask the question, a simple question, how many different swimmers won gold medals for Team Great Britain at the Olympic Games in the swimming pool in Tokyo in 2021? This is the able-bodied, not the paras. So how many swimmers, and name them, won gold medals at the Olympic Games in Tokyo for Team Great Britain? We won 4 golds, but there are more swimmers than that who actually came home with at least 1 gold medal in their pocket. And then you get bonus points if you can name those swimmers who got double gold.
Yeah, tricky question. But if you were watching, you'll know that some of our relays did really well last summer. So which ones of those maybe won a gold, and who out of those relay teams went on to win 2?
And there's another twist as well, which I shall add in a second, or maybe Amy can add in a second for you, just to give you another hint. But let's keep our eyes on this swim from Thomas Treblecock of Plymouth. It's a really impressive swim. So he's got, what has he got? 5 lengths to go now, 250 meters to go. In this heat, 6 of 7 of the men's 1500 meters freestyle. And if he keeps this up, he's going to go, well, I think possibly under. I think he can go under 16 minutes. And that really would be special if he can. I mean, his lifetime best 16:18. So that 16-minute barrier, if your lifetime best is 16:18, and that must be just something special to do. He's got 200 to go here, and he's got to do it in under 2 minutes 10. It's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight if he can go under 16. Lifetime best again is 16:18, so whatever he goes underneath that will be brilliant. But can he break the 16-minute barrier? That would be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully he's getting a little bit tired. We see his stroke and his technique maybe getting a little bit short, but he still hasn't gone to his legs yet. So hopefully maybe in the next length he can maybe start to bring those in a little bit, so he's not leaving it too late. We often see everyone turn 1450 and all of a sudden they find massive legs like they're doing a 50-meter sprint. So it would be good to see some of these swimmers start to bring in their legs a little bit, just to kind of help them a little bit more as they're really struggling towards the end of the race. But it's a really good effort, and another swimmer almost doing it on his own.
Well, Treblecock coming into the bell turn. 100 meters to go. They'll be ringing a bell for him to say 2 lengths left in this 1500 meters. And oh, it's going to be really tight to go under 16. Not sure he can do it now. It's going to be very, very tight. He's got to go under 62 seconds for the last 100. I think that might be a little bit too much of an ask, but he's having a crack. And even so, at a lifetime best of 16:18, just to go close to 16 minutes will be a really fantastic achievement.
Yeah, it would be, and all his teammates are now up on their feet. You can see a few of them at the very bottom of the screen, waving him on, kind of giving him that little bit of energy that he might need down this last leg. He's turned in a time of 15:29.35, so if he can come back sub 30.7, 30.65, he'll just about do it. So he's not miles off, but it is definitely a big ask.
He can definitely do it, you know, because that was to his feet. And now, come on, Thomas. This is a great swim.
Please don't do 16 flat. It would still be an awesome swim if he does. Thomas Treblecock of Plymouth, can he get under 16 minutes? Get your hand in there. Yes, he's done it. Oh, well done. Well done. 15:59.41. What an awesome swim that was. My goodness, I wasn't sure with 200 to go. He was looking tired. And then that 100 meters just before the final one, I thought he'd blown it, but that is an absolutely awesome swim. Amy, tell me how good that was.
Yeah, he came back sub 62 or 62 something, so to drop from 65 point and he's holding his pace, all of a sudden to drop three and a half seconds in the last 100 is not an easy thing to do. And yeah, as he said, he didn't have anyone there pushing him. He was really relying on his own strength, his own kind of mental capacity to get down that last length. And yeah, he may have seen some of his teammates giving him a big cheer on.
I'll tell you what, he's a big unit as well. He's not a small guy, so to swim under 16 minutes, not even in the final heat, and that is really quite special. And a lifetime best of over 18 seconds. So we saw a 22-second lifetime best to win Heat 5, and another 18-second lifetime best to win Heat 6 of this 1500 meters freestyle. And the final heat is tonight. Well, that's very, very good indeed. Well done, Thomas. Thomas Treblecock winning Heat 6 of the men's 1500 meters freestyle from Plymouth. 15:59.41. Well done, sir. Michael James Flynn, massive lifetime best for him as well in second place. And third was Rhys Grady of Stockport Metro. Actually, excuse me, it was yes, it was Rhys Grady. Fourth, Alex Cooper. Fifth, Jackson O'Rourke. Wow, what a great swim that was. Really, really impressive. Well, we did ask you a question, and the question was, name the British swimmers who came back with gold medals in their pockets from the Olympic Games in 2021 in Tokyo. And I think, even though we had a medal count of 4 golds, 3 silvers and 1 bronze, I think 9 swimmers actually achieved a fantastic feat of bringing back an Olympic gold medal. Amy, who were they?
Yeah, so on my list I actually wrote down Tom Dean, Duncan Scott, James Guy, Matt Richards, Kathleen Dawson, Anna Hopkin, Freya Anderson, Callum Jarvis, and I actually left Adam Peaty till last because I just assumed he was the most obvious one.
So there we go. So we've got 9 different swimmers, and the great thing about relays, 4 golds on the medal table, but 9 different British swimmers came back with gold medals in their pockets. Peaty, Dean, Scott, Guy, Richards, Dawson, Hopkin, Anderson, Freya Anderson and Callum Jarvis. Of course, Freya was in the heats of the mixed medley relay and Callum Jarvis in the heats of the men's 4x2, but because the finalists won, they did their job. They got the team through to the final and allowed them to rest swimmers, so they got gold medals as well. So we'll have a couple more quiz questions for you. I've got a couple more little gems in my pocket for later on. But a really, really interesting session. That men's 100 meters freestyle, really looking forward to that tonight. And with the finals at 6 p.m. this evening, we come back on air at 5:45, so join us for that. Time to have a rest this afternoon and come back for those finals. So it's goodbye from me, Andy Jameson.
Goodbye from Amy Wilmot.
Goodbye.